What's up, everybody? We Know Kino.
We starting? We're going.
Should we go?
Moving.
Yeah.
Wait. Before we start recording, hold up. Before we do start recording, don't spoil it. But have you got your movie picked out?
I got my movie picked out.
For week 4.
I got like 2 in mind, and I'll just choose one at the end.
Okay.
But this week we're gonna do the Omen.
The Omen, yeah.
I've already started recording, Bex. I've already.
Yeah.
We're going.
We're here. Listen, if we tell you, it could cause some sort of like disruption. So we're just gonna like edit it. Like just hit record.
At this point, there's no week where I'm just not in the loop.
I think it's better that way. I think it's more,
keep Bex out of the loop, and
just get the camera like in on his face. Like, yeah, we're live, pal. It's like, yeah, here we go.
This is fair. I'm ready. I'm totally ready, guys. Everybody listen.
We're here.
All right. This week we all went away and we watched The Omen from 1976. Steve-el, this was your choice.
This was my choice. Yeah, watched it for the first time, literally last night, less than 12 hours ago. But I'd never seen it. It's always been on my kind of list because they don't do religious horrors as much anymore in the modern era. Like I've seen The Exorcist. We've got everyone has mostly seen The Exorcist, I'd imagine. But The Omen somehow slipped through the cracks for me. But I wanted to watch it, and what better time than to watch it for episode 3 of our podcast.
Talking about religious horrors not being done as much, that I'm pretty sure the Conjuring franchise just hit over $1 billion recently.
Yeah.
That's like the only one that's like really good now.
Everything is trying to be that.
Yeah.
And The Conjuring, when I watched The Exorcist, I was like, oh my gosh, this is peak Kino right here. And when watching The Omen, you can see the influence as well in a modern supernatural horror too.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. My first experience with the movie was one of the sequels was on TV one day, and I watched about like 15 minutes, and then I was like, I'm gonna go play Crash Bandicoot. And, it was pretty dull. I'd always heard about these movies growing up though, like.
Mm-hmm.
Your top 3, your Rosemary's Baby and your Exorcist, and then The Omen. I love The Exorcist. I don't know how I feel about this movie. I watched the movie for the first time properly like a week ago, and I've kind of been rattling around in my head trying to figure out what my opinions are. I'll get more into it after. Bex, how did you first watch the movie? What's your experience?
This is one of my mom's all-time favorite horror movies ever. Every time I try to talk to my mom about horror movies or stuff, it's this and Rosemary's Babies is the 2 movies that my mom will always tell me she loves. She loves watching it every single year. I think this movie is really good. I think it's what you have to say, and it's kind of the same as well. I think The Exorcist is like, out of the 3, I think The Exorcist is the best. I think there's a lot going for The Exorcist. And then Rosemary's Baby and this are both hand in hand for me. It's like they definitely all feel the same, but The Exorcist is just that little bit higher. So, Steve, your history.
Like I said, it's crazy that it must be something like here in this country with Irish mums and having The Omen is like one of their favorite movies, because like my mum as well, she absolutely adored this movie, and she used to always tell me like, you need to watch it. You don't know. She like, I can just imagine in her era growing up, like this movie must have been like a game changer for audiences, like going out to the pictures back then, because I'd say it was probably just so kind of like out there, outlandish, and it touches on like some crazy topics like for the 70s. So yeah, she used to always say, "Oh no, you've not watched a proper scary movie until you watched The Omen," and I put it off for so long, and up until last night, I gave it a shot, and pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it, and we'll go into why. We'll go into why.
Sure thing. Just before we should get to the timeline, do you guys know when this movie came out?
76?
June 6th, 1976.
Oh, wow. So they actually fully went. Okay, yeah. They went on the nose with the release date, yeah, as well. Like the 6th month. The
666. Yeah, so this apparently, like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist were more they weren't like Hollywood productions, and this was your Hollywood production. It was still kind of like lower budget than your average production, but they went all in on the marketing there, the 666.
Yeah.
Some of the wacky stuff that I find more interesting is how the production of the movie and the things that happened around it, but we'll get into that when we get into the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
This is Richard Donner. And I know Richard Donner from the Superman movies. You know, he did Superman.
The Christopher Reeves Superman.
The Christopher Reeves Superman was Richard Donner.
Wow,
he did that 2 years after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, the Goonies. He directed the Goonies as well.
I've not seen the Goonies.
Wow.
One of the greatest 80s movies ever.
Is it good?
It really is. It's so good. It is very, very good.
He's got quite the portfolio.
He also made the Lethal Weapon movies, I think. All of them.
What? Oh, I like the Lethal Weapon movies. Well, I used to. I don't know. I've not went back to them.
This guy, he'd formed quite a portfolio over these decades. That's...
I think this is his first movie, like feature-length movie. He was like a TV guy before this. This was like...
He was a TV guy, and this was his kind of like transition to movies.
Yeah, if this didn't work, he was going back to TV.
Yeah. And I don't know how much it made in the box office, and I should... Again, I'm putting myself on blast during these episodes when I could easily just do the research and take some notes.
I know it. It was...
Oh, yeah.
It was 60 million.
Wow. Number 6 again.
I know that. Number 6 again. I know that because what's the actor? Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
He took a cut from the box office rather than like a paycheck. I think he took a bit of both. So he earned a lot from this movie.
Yeah. I did some research on him. Like he was at the time, he was like a well-known face in like American, like in to American audiences, like as an actor. So this was quite a nice get for the movie. I would say for to try and conquer like the North American box office. You know, to try and like
he's got an amazing voice. He sounds like a bit like Leslie Nelson, you know, from like Naked Gun and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just this powerful voice. I really like it. I think his performance and the nanny's performance are my two favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
Favorites. I don't know. Everybody else seems a bit stilted to me.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the writing. Mm-hmm. The writing of this is
questionable.
Oh no, I guess this was like super crazy back in the day, but it's just It's just not that exciting for me. There are some really cool bits. There's a few really cool bits that make the movie like it's not a bad movie by any standards. And
no,
guys, this is just my opinion. Bex, you sound a lot higher opinion of it, and Steve, you're like.
I definitely, when I rewatched it, I remember growing up being like, "Oh my god, my mom loves this movie, so it's definitely amazing." But when I rewatched it last night, there was some bits where I was just like. And I think the same with The Exorcist. If we ever did The Exorcist, there's some bits, I'll say the exact same. There's so much baggage scenes that could have definitely been cut out.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of moments in this where there's people talking where you're getting told the same thing maybe 2 or 3 times. Like, you've already kind of said that, so we could probably...
They do repeat a lot of things. Yeah, you're right. The Exorcist, I didn't find it as much. Although this isn't a review for The Exorcist.
No, we keep mentioning it.
It's just a really good comparison point, you know?
Yeah.
Also, stylistically, you know, we Night of the Living Dead was like full of like visual style. Even though it was black and white, everything popped a lot more, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's impossible to compare something to The Shining because that's all visual style, so I won't even do that. But this is a bit... I guess the visual style was lacking. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to poo-poo it. You know, it's the first movie. I'm like, there are loads of things that I really like, and we'll get into those as well. We'll get into those.
Yeah, I'm glad I gave it a watch for the first time. I don't regret it as a choice. Compared to last week, you know, I was saying it after I watched it. I was saying it was a nice, like, almost come down movie. There wasn't as much going on. It wasn't as difficult to follow. The plot was fairly straightforward. It was just a nice change of pace. But yeah, I always try and put myself in the shoes of somebody that would have seen this for the first time back then, you know, like, especially in an era where the church was more prominent, probably, in in mainstream media for certain reasons, like in the newspapers or like things going on. I can imagine this probably terrified a few people. Like, could you imagine being like a religious zealot and going to see this movie with coming home to your son who happens to be named Damien, who was born on the 6th of June? Like you would freak. But I think it was a fine movie. Again, no regrets that I watched it, but it's compared to the last 2 weeks. It was a very easy, and it would be the one that I enjoyed the least, which is I knew I was going to enjoy Night of the Living Dead. Obviously, rewatching that, I knew I was going to enjoy rewatching The Shining. This one was a risk because I'd never seen it before. A wild card, yeah.
And you always, you know, growing up, we're big fans of horror. You always hear about. Yeah, well, you used to always hear about the Omen. Maybe not so much anymore. A new Omen movie came out like last month, and I don't think anybody spoke about it.
I've seen it, and I've mentioned it a few times in my notes, but it's going to pass. People are going to forget about it.
Okay,
yeah.
They said like 2 sequels.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah. Apparently progressed like worse each time.
Okay.
But again, I've not seen them. Maybe I'd enjoy them more.
And it had a remake then as well, didn't it? Like
Liev Schreiber's in it.
I was talking to our friend Krampus.
Yeah.
And I'm explaining the movie to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I've seen it. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, everything looks so crazy. And this must have been wild in the 70s." And he's like, the 70s? How old is this movie? And then we looked it up, and he'd seen the 2006 remake.
Oh, yeah.
But it's one of those shot-for-shot remakes.
Yeah, that's literally, it's identical. So, like, whichever one you watch, you're getting the gist of it. So
didn't they do that with Psycho as well?
Yeah. Who was in that one? I can't remember the actor's name now. It is Vince Vaughn.
Oh my god!
I've not seen Psycho.
The Vince Vaughn one is very bad. The original one, fantastic. Vince Vaughn.
I wasn't a Vince Vaughn guy until Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I was like, okay, I get you now. That's cool.
That's a name I have not heard in a long time. That is a name I did not think that would be dropped in this podcast with Vince Vaughn. But here we are.
This movie. I'm gonna pepper around the curse of the Omen, little curse facts. If while we go through this, do you guys know about the curse of the Omen?
No,
I picked up little small bits, but I didn't look too deep into it.
Okay, well, should we just get into it? Then we'll get into the.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing before we do get into it? Not to shit on the movie in any way, but I think the soundtrack is probably the best part of this entire film.
Oh yeah, Jerry Goldsmith absolutely knocked it out of the park.
He won an Oscar for it, and it's that's the best part of the movie. You're absolutely right. The soundtrack's incredible. Really is. That's what I've got in my notes. God damn, the soundtrack is so good.
In my pages here, I have just a cross. Like like when I was kind of reflecting afterwards, I was like. Night of the Living Dead took me like up to 8 or 9 pages, right, in my little journal. The Shining took me like almost double that, like 17 pages. This one, this one was this one was more or less the same as Night of the Living Dead, but what kind of like brought this up was just that it was longer. You know, it was a little bit longer than Night of the Living Dead. But
how long was this film? It was 2 hours and
just shy of 2 hours. No, it's just shy of 2 hours. I think it was 1 hour 50 or something like that. Yeah.
It did not feel like that, even with the baggage scenes. It felt really, really quick.
Oh, felt like it to me. Oh, it felt like it to me.
Oh man.
It only took us till episode 3 for us to be split.
I knew that. Yeah, I was like, I knew myself, like heart and soul. I was like, right, I'm not going to be able to follow your two, like you guys' both picks. So I'm absolutely happy to get this awkward pick out. Like if this is the one that we we're kind of split on, I'm happy that it's now rather than down the line, so we could get it out of the way, because I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I enjoyed it, but then I could see how it like. In the mod, like for what I look for in a mod, like what I look for in a movie, like it was lacking in some aspects, but I'm glad. Again, no regrets. I'm glad I watched it for sure. Because
thank you for picking the movie too, because it's off my list. It's ticked now.
Yeah, exactly. It was a risk, and I think whatever I picked for this week, it's just The Shining and Night of the Living Dead are such hard acts to follow. You know, in terms of just impact that they made, like cultural significance, and just like how adored and enjoyed they are by like the majority of movie cinema enjoyers, movie people. Yeah,
try not to say the word cinephile because it sounds gross.
Oh my god!
I tell you what, this movie starts off pretty strong. You know, the child is dead. He breathed for a moment and then no more. Like, god damn, it's
heavy. It's a heavy theme, like, you know, and it's.
Do you want to take us on this adventure, Steve? You want to set us off here?
Yeah. Because we open and it's again, is it the third straight movie in a row that it's just a car, and it's just driving to some location, like some undisclosed location. But we were just talking about the soundtrack, and like Jerry Goldsmith absolutely smashed it. My biggest thing with this soundtrack is like, because I've just been so warped by like modern kind of like YouTube meme videos, I could not stop thinking, do you know that Omino like meme song?
I don't know.
I was thinking, I know what he means. It's hard to explain, but I thought the same thing.
It's this religious. Oh, Seb, you have to look it up after the episode, after we record this. It's just this religious, song that for some reason blew up on YouTube in the last 10 years, because it was used as a track to every, like, a lot of meme clips, and
I've probably
shorts.
Seen it then.
You have, but this track, and there's just chanting. It's just religious chanting. It for me, I was just like, I could not stop thinking of this YouTube meme song throughout. But for anyone listening to this episode when it releases on Friday, like, let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, because it's just wild. But it doesn't take away from the effectiveness of the track in this movie. I couldn't focus. I wrote
later in my notes about the soundtrack. I was like, oh my god, this is Sephiroth's theme right here. This is it's actually like Sephiroth. You know, it's One Winged Angel almost. They must have like taken a lot of inspiration from this, or maybe that's just the genre of Latin chants. I don't know, but it was. I was so excited when Final Fantasy VII started playing up on the soundtrack in this. I was hyped.
Like what have I got here? So I just had the soundtrack, and then there's just the about the child. We don't know like what's going on. We're hearing it over and over again. The child is dead. We're there's like a little like splash. There's a little detail splashed up on screen that it's Rome. It's June 6th, 6 a.m. And you're like, okay, this is very on the nose, isn't it? Like for the people who are kind of aware of like what the 666, the symbolism behind that those numbers. But it's just we're still. I thought it was, in my notes I was like, oh, he's right. This is our protagonist. This is Robert Thorne. He's there in the hospital. He's talking to a priest, and they're discussing like. There's a child, like, so for me, my takeaway until the movie kind of gives us the kind of like shocking reveal. It's like, okay, is he here to adopt because he's had a child that's unfortunately passed away, and he's trying to like trick his wife? Part of me was like, okay, this guy might not be the most he might be pretty disingenuous. I don't think I want to root for him.
He drove to get here as well. So
yeah, he drove. Yeah, like he drove all. Like
was his wife already here? Is this where she gave birth?
That's what I'm
so.
like. Yeah, I'm thinking that like because part
so
of it had me confused. Yeah, like so he's obviously like we'll find out now what his job occupation is, but he's here and he missed the birth, and like I really like the camera work here, and I don't know whether it was coincidental or it was deliberate, but when the actors when it's cutting from actor to actor like during the conversation and they're in frame, just the whole kind of like background of them is very out of focus, and it's tight camera work, but I don't know whether it was a deliberate like style choice that the rest of the background is out of focus. But it's just we find that his wife has miscarried. Well, not miscarried, but the child has passed at some point during the birth, and.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, she's had a miscarriage. She's had a stillbirth.
Stillbirth, and the priest is like, "Yep, she's not going to even know. Like the child even looks like what their child would have looked like."
The priest is offering her a swap. He is a live baby whose mother has died, and for your dead baby, and nobody will know, and you can raise him as your own. Yeah. And it's almost like this. Yes, it starts off as I said, it starts off really strong because we're already seeing this moral dilemma of like, is this the right thing to do? You can give a child a better life whose mother's passed. You can give your wife a baby, like so she isn't heartbroken, but also you're lying to your wife. And you're going to live this lie. So, like, what is the right thing to do in this situation? You know, it's such a. I hope I'm never in a situation like this. It's a very tough place to be. Because
this decision is going to affect 3 different lives throughout the years. It's going to affect his life, our main character, his wife, and this child. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot riding on this single decision, and. I guess in his desperation, he's thinking, right, if she's not going to know and the baby's going to, like, the child is going to be none the wiser.
It seems like, all positives, right?
It seems all positive. It's like, what's in his mind? He's probably thinking, right, well, what's the worst that could happen here? And oh boy.
Well, if the child wasn't the son of Satan, then probably would have been positive, you know?
I think it would have been fine, yeah. And... That's the beauty of it because it's established, right? The priest is adamant. These turn of events was meant to be. So the priest is almost in a way just coercing him to take this step, and he decides he goes ahead with it. And there's very little then after that. It's just we have our kind of usual montage, don't we?
That's it. Then we
England.
Yeah, we go to jolly old England.
Jolly old England.
The camera work is very. It's almost shot like, I don't know if you've seen like 70s English TV shows, but there's this kind of like aura around all the lights. It's all hazy. And the entire movie is shot like that. It's a bit like it reminds me of the camera work in Hellraiser, actually.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like, oh no, American cinematography seemed a lot more clearer. You know, everything is like these nice sharp shots where like, I don't know, this movie is not very sharp for the most point, but it it does add to the atmosphere. I know I said it lacked like kind of a sense of style earlier, but I guess that's the style, this haziness.
Yeah. The murkiness, kind of like out of focus, kind of blurry shots.
Do we get to the birthday party?
Yeah, we have
definitely.
Beckham. What's like I was going to say, did you have any notes about the like kind of opening scene or like anything?
You
there?
Basically covered. I think without again diving too deep into, I think the new movie that comes out adds a whole new layer to even that opening. Which, like, again, I don't think the new movie's amazing. I think it was a good watch, but there's a lot that they tell. It's a prequel to this movie. There's a lot that they tell that make, they make it way deeper, way more important than just we're handing off this child that obviously later on we figure out is more than just a child. There's a lot to it. That's all I really had.
So they fill in the blanks. The prequel kind of sets out to okay, like and then after so we're introduced to Robert. We're introduced to his wife Kathy. He is an American.
Can I say something about the introduction to the wife, please?
Oh yeah, go on.
Were either of you confused when you watched it? When he kissed her first, or is it just me?
Because he's old.
No, right. Right, let me get into it for a second. No,
we know Kino.
I promise it's not that. She's leading him around the house, right? Now this could be just a me thing too. He probably clocked it straight away. And she's walking around talking about, oh look this. And in my head, when I was watching it on this rewatch, I was like, oh, she's showing in the house. Where's his wife? Right? Oh, okay. And then they go into the big living room area, and there's a woman outside holding Damien, and then they kiss when they close the blinds. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Is he a liar and also cheats? Like, it's like
I got so confused.
Like again, this is like one of my special thing with notes, because in one sentence I have like I go heavy with like, oh, what does this character action mean? Is there like heavy symbolism behind it? And then underneath I just write, well, he's horny as hell. It's like because he closes the he's looking out at the kid, so that the kid is outside, and that it's then revealed that's the nanny, right? So he is with his wife in that room. So my takeaway is like, he's shutting like what are they, like little wooden doors on the window frame, or like he's closing off. So shutters. He's like shutters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like it's like it shows that. For me, I was like, oh well, no, he knows that's not really his kid. So like, there's a kind of like juxtaposition there that he's shutting the doors, which is like the meaning is that it's the relationship there is not completely just like one-to-one clear from one side to another. There's a barrier there between them, and then he just starts like making out with his wife, and he's like, let's go upstairs. She responds, there's no furniture up there yet. And I'm just thinking, this guy is down bad. He's like, his kid is outside with the nanny. He's older. He does look older.
He's like 20 years older than Lee, what's her name? Lee Catherine, his wife.
Catherine Thorne, so he just wants to lay pipe. Like he wants to, like, he's down to have another child.
If old people gonna fuck too, you know?
Yeah. But it's just smeared in between two montages of just it's like before the scene and then after the scene. It's just they're happy, they're a loving family. There's like they go on their walks. They have a nice big mansion, because he is his job title is he's an ambassador for Great Britain, and he's an American. He's working in Britain as an ambassador, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's got quite a prestigious job title. He's obviously quite wealthy. You see the house, and it's just you feel to yourself at the start. You know, it sets the tone. They're
she
a loving
picked the
family.
House, right? Is that what they say? She picked the house because she wanted something fancy to match his title.
He shows up, and she's like, "Yeah, I've already agreed. I've already said yes." And he's like, "Ah, okay, yeah." It's just so she picks the house, and that it sets her kind of like foundation for the story. And like, did I miss anything there? It's
a pretty badass house.
It's a nice house. It's huge.
So then it goes to the party outside, right? And we see these outdoor shots of the house and these massive windows. It's pretty epic.
There's a weird scene there that I don't understand when we get to the birthday party is Katrin not wanting nanny to be in the pictures with Damien.
Yeah. I
don't understand that. I don't know why she was so weird about it.
Because I haven't noted that, because like, right, so just before that scene, there's just a small little, and I don't understand. Like I took a note of it. I was like, oh, first sign of trouble, that they're just walking next to a river, right? And
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for pushing us towards the party. Yeah, there's the river.
They're so madly in love, and they're probably still horny, right? and they just turn around and the kid is not the kid's gone. And I'm like, right, I put my notes, right. Oh, first sign of trouble. Like they're next to a river. You'd think the worst. But no, he's just they're calling out to him, Damien. Is that the first time his name is referenced, or did we hear his name sooner than that scene?
I think that's it. They don't name him as a baby, and that's I think so. I don't think he's.
Is this why I didn't know any Damiens growing up because of this movie?
It just turned a lot of families off.
We said this yesterday. We were talking about it. We were like, does anybody know a Damien? We were watching the movie, and everybody's like, no. It was like, because most Damiens were cunts because they were hated because of this movie.
Can you imagine being named Damien before this movie comes out and then just being shunned for it? So you're like, right, this is my villain era. I'm just going to embrace it and just being turning out to be like a top tier bellend.
All right. Would you rather be a Damien or would you rather be an Alexa?
Oh
fuck, Damien! I couldn't do Alexa. No.
Oh man,
sorry to Alexis, but my life would be predestined to be a stripper, and I'm sorry.
It's such a cool. I'm not saying. I mean, because everybody talks their phones and says it.
Oh shit! I went to the wrong way.
Yeah, you went down the you took an interesting street with that one. Yeah, because I was thinking of the Amazon product. So
yeah, that's how I was going
with it. Yeah. So to anyone if anyone who does happen to be listening and named Alexa, stripping is a wonderfully respectable profession. Like you get the bag, all right? Listen, do what you gotta do, right?
Let me know in the comments which strip could be working. I'll send money.
Sometimes life deals you an interesting hand, all right? You gotta make the best of it. But I'd rather be named Alexa just to stop that. Just to.
I can't believe that's where my head went. Instead of just thinking, oh yeah, Amazon.
Wait until Bex suggests American Psycho as a movie to watch. He's really going to show his red flags.
Favorite movies ever. Trust me, I know who I am.
Yeah. That's going to be pretty much me with Drive, like just But
it's good work. It's good work. Thank you for your service, Alexis. Shall we move on?
We're gonna move on. I'm gonna legally change my name to Alexa just to disparage the assumption that all Alexis is I'm gonna start changing that mentality. But
oh my god,
he's hiding. You know, it's like he's a little trickster. Him, he's playing a little prank on his parents. They're panicking that maybe he fell into that fast moving river and was washed away by the current. But no, he's just there behind a tree. So
he's not a child. He's not a baby anymore. We've skipped 5 years.
He is. Yeah. We did have a jump. Yeah, for anyone who was kind of like unfamiliar, it's like, wait, is it the toddler's gone and just walkabouts? No, he's a young child now. But yeah, it's just it's that scene. Every so often, there's a little cut and there's a little serious scene, or there's some exposition, and then we're back to another montage of just, you know, they're really trying to say this is a perfect, happy, wholesome family, and then we're here at the party scene. This is where things start to really take a turn.
I've wrote this kid is the coolest party. He's got bouncy castles, he's got slides, he's got merry-go-rounds.
He's got a merry-go-round, yeah.
There's a clown, and you know, even people hanging themselves, all for him.
All for him, if people say, "Oh, well, they're not doing it all for him," like, no, the nanny. What happens next? She specifies, "This is for you, Damien."
You're so out of touch. Have you not had birthday parties like this?
Seb, you've never experienced a typical Australian birthday party.
Steve, you're doing damage to us. Stop. Every episode, we had to fight.
Yeah, every episode, just a typical Australian birthday bash.
I love doing this podcast with my 2 Australian bros. It's so good. So good.
Save Bex, please. I'm not able to do this anymore.
It's been 3 weeks now, and it just keeps getting more prominent. But yeah, it's a feel good day. I was so there's so many times I was so confused in the moment of like what like with certain scenes, but then when I thought about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. So yeah, I want you to kind of like you both to give me your kind of interpretation on. So he's happy, he's on the merry-go-round. He's got all his friends there. There's a bouncy castle. There's clowns. There's balloons. It's all great.
It's got this real hazy effect again. Like everything is weird. It's almost like a dream sequence. You know, if you showed me this out of context, I wouldn't have thought this was real. I would have thought it was a dream sequence. Everything that happens and the way it's shot. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking it has to have been a deliberate choice, because it's like it's so out there. It's so hazy. It's almost like just the haziness is telling us that things, just there's something wrong here. There's just this was my lean in forward moment in the movie. This is when I was the most locked in, you know. I was like, oh my goodness, this movie, okay, here we go. And every now and then it would bring me back to the, like, we'd have moments like this, and I'm not like a gore fiend, or I'm not really one for shock horror for the most part.
Shock horror. Yeah.
I think because there's a lot of meandering in between scenes, maybe it's my 2024. I think I've got a good attention span, but God, this movie really pushed me through it for some reason. God damn it, it's just my opinion, guys. Just my opinion.
Every so often, like there's just drops of like exposition that are again very on the nose, like in between kind of like the like reveals or like shocking deaths. So it's like it kind of goes, it's like it pulls you in, and when you're kind of like, right, you're really invested, it just sometimes then loses that focus, it gives you a scene then you're like Beckham was saying earlier, he was like, some of it just could have been some of it could have been just cut out, trimmed off to just make it a little bit tighter. But
absolutely.
I loved this scene.
This is badass though. Yeah, so they're all playing around, and then the nanny starts screaming from the roof of this amazing like mansion, this manor that they're at. Like, this is for you, Damien.
Tell me now. Tell me just before that. She's the one that's kind of like tending to Damien the most, right? Throughout the party we're seeing, and then like there's guys here, they're probably local photographers, freelance photographers, right? And they're trying to get some like good pictures to probably sell to the papers and stuff, right? Pictures have been taken of the nanny and Damien, and like suddenly the mum just was like, right, let me take him off your hands.
That confused me. Like when I was watching this birthday scene, the nanny's holding, and the photographers are all taking all the pictures of the party anyway. There's like 30 kids running around, they're taking all the pictures. And the second they turn and go to take a picture of the nanny and Damien together, Katrin's like, no, I'll take him. And then that's where she just gets up, leaves, and goes towards the building.
After having a little she has this little stare down. There's just a random Rottweiler? Yeah.
Can I do a mini shout out for one person only? Callum, I know you're going to be listening to this. This is what our mother thinks our dog looks like. This is what she thinks.
that Rottweiler is a unit of a dog, and it's just during the party, the nanny and the Rottweiler like just have a stare off. The music starts to like get like kind of real. Like it starts to build again, and there's like close-ups of like the eyes of the dog, her eyes, and you're thinking, okay, well that was exceptionally weird. But having like,
did this do for Rottweilers what Jaws did for sharks? Like just make people really dislike them?
I'd imagine so. There's a later scene that I think would have done massive damage for Rottweiler dogs.
Apparently, by the way, the Rottweiler in this movie was extremely lovely and was giving kisses all the time and really affectionate. So the dog's an amazing actor is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, and it played its part well. It played its part well, but again, I feel now in the 70s people were just wild, and there was probably someone that went home to their Rottweiler, and it's going to sound so morbid if they either didn't just like get rid of them or like sell them off. They probably just took them out behind the shed and shot them because they thought, my Rottweiler is going to convince my kid to just be just a horrible, nasty little like tyrant.
Yeah, or it's going to attack me.
It's going to attack me. Yeah,
it's a bit of an acrobat as well. It gets up into like the bed at some point. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, now we're here.
When we go past the photographers,
yeah,
that's what I wrote down. These 70s hairstyles, like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Is it Keith? Is that the photographer's name?
Yeah.
Keith Jennings, right, played by the late David Warner. I originally thought that was Charles Dance. I was like, oh, a young Charles Dance appears.
I can see that. Yeah.
But my God, his hair. Oh, that style, bro. That trim, like that needs to go. But that was so widely, like that was almost back then. That was like the cool hairstyle.
I took my dog to the pet groomers like last week, and a guy was walking past with that exact same haircut, and he's blasting, like I could hear it outside of his earphones, Oasis, and I was like, well, that makes sense.
Shout out my boy, like bringing it back in 2024. That's
so wild, isn't it?
It's like just like you go to the hairdresser, you bring your little porcelain bowl with you, you just put it on your head, and you're just like cut around this, fam. It's like, please.
Have you guys had that cut before?
Yeah. I probably had as a child.
I definitely did. When I was living in Tunisia, my mum was cutting my hair for me. I'm sure I had that at some point.
Yeah. Like, and if I ever find any photos of that, I'm just burning them immediately. I'm just like, they're never going to see the light of day outside of my family photo album. But I'm sure I had. Oh man, but yeah. So that's a wild haircut, and like that took me out of it for a second because I was like, the man's not happy with that haircut, surely. Like,
I mean, everybody else. I guess it's because he is a photographer. Is not really like a suit. Like everybody else in the movie, they're either a priest or a suit.
Yeah.
So that really does stand out. But I like that character. We'll get more into him.
We'll get more into him because thankfully he does become a prominent character. But oh man, that's when we're at we just cut. And again, I thought this wasn't happening. I thought this was like a dream sequence, and
exactly. It all happens so fast as well, which is why I'm sorry. I just kept pushing us towards the nanny jumping off because it's so wild. Like everything just happens all at once, and it's kind of like hard to. You don't really get time to
get behind the scenes.
No,
I didn't either, and I couldn't for the life of me find anything of how they did it with the way it goes, where she jumps and flies through the window. I have no idea.
I would say the cut after she jumps is probably it's after that. It's just like it's like a prosthetic doll. It's a doll.
It's still insane though.
It's got a nice amount of weight. Yeah, she's like, I love you, Damien. It's all for you, and she leaps with the noose. There's a rope around her neck rather than like around her feet or something like that. Like when people were like, you knew this was coming back, and you knew I was going to make a reference to like jumping in the 70s was wild back then. She just leaps from the building. And
I just want to jump in with the mention of the newest movie. I used to love this scene. This was probably my favorite scene because of how sharp it is and how straight out it's like in your face. The new movie spoiled it for me though, because they do a basic replica of this scene with a woman, only she sets herself on fire before she jumps off. And I was just like, the newer one could have come up with something more original and its own. So when I was rewatching it this time, I was like, oh wow, okay. The new one didn't really go for anything new.
The newer movie is called The First Omen.
Right?
And it's about the first time this happened. So the same thing happened again.
It's the creation of Damien. It's
okay. So it really fits in the blanks.
Do we want to get spoilers here? Do we care about talking about The First Omen? Can I get into it a little bit?
I'm okay for spoilers because I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy with this movie as a standalone.
Can we get into the creation of Damien when we get to the graveyard scene?
Oh yeah.
Can we get into it there?
I think it'll add up a little bit more. Yeah, actually, because I think if I go in,
because I think a lot of what's really cool about this is it's almost really cool is the ambiguity of whether or not Damien is the son of Satan. Sorry, something about that just really tickles me. Whether he's the son of Satan, right? And apparently when they first wrote the script, they were really actually trying to make it ambiguous, which I think is the way to go. It's like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. It's like, is there really like an evil entity coming? Is he really the son of Satan, and all of these deaths that happen around him, you could maybe talk like, hey, it's accidental or it's coincidence, but then you also get characters like the character coming up like the nanny, and it's just like, no, she's straight up evil. Okay.
So
it kind of ruins the ambiguity to it.
It would have been nicer with a bit more of that, because up until there's like near the end, and I'll get to that, because for me, like, I was like, I'm still ambiguous to an extent. Maybe I was coping, but then when he's like, there's a scene where it's like, okay, no, he's got that right. He's definitely
exactly. So there's these things where I'm like, if you just chosen one direction to go in, but you tried to do both, and it doesn't hit as hard for me.
But she jumps. She's hung there. It's crazy. She smashes her like she's hung like a horse.
I think the term is hanged. Even though it sounds weird. Because hung is something else.
But she's hanged there. She drops down off the ledge. She smashes in through the window. It's all very jarring, and like the whole party is just kind of like looking up at her at this point. People start screaming, kids start crying, like and Damien's just unfazed. Damien's unfazed by it all. They go like it cuts to a scene where then the dog is just watching Damien from a distance, and Damien does like they have a kind of little stand stare off like the nanny and the dog had, but Damien then just like smiles and waves to the dog. So you're like, oh.
And the music in that scene with the two of them staring at each other is absolutely insane.
It's so jarring. It's jarring in the best possible way. Again, like it's unsettling, and it's just like you're like, whoa. It is epic though. It's epic in the best possible way as well, because it's so outlandish. But that's the notes I have for that scene. View to anything?
No, that's me. That's me. 70s hairstyles, clowns. It's full of everything. The dog, like it's so cool. Then you get the. Bex, do you have anything else before we move on?
No. You basically have all covered the birthday party scene now.
So then we get our guy walking into like a building, and the photographer is now his personal paparazzi, basically. I thought he was the birthday photographer, so I was a bit like surprised when I saw him just taking pictures of the guy like out in the street. But maybe not, because he was a big political figure, right?
Yeah, he's a big political figure, and I think this guy just has his kind of like this Jennings character. He has his finger on the pulse. He kind of know he's a freelance, he's a freelance photographer, but he knows kind of where the story is, or he knows where the interesting places, like who are the interesting people to document.
And is this where they're about to go to? They meet like the new nanny.
We have the bit where so he goes to his office. He's going to work. Obviously, the paparazzi are questioning him over the incident and everything like that. He bumps into the photographer here with the stylish trim. I think the lens or something pops out, or it breaks, I think.
Yeah.
And there's just a very nice interaction. It's their introduction. It's their probably formal introduction as far as we know in the movie, because he asks him to send him the bill of the camera, to replace it. And the photographer says, no, he just when the time comes or something like that. I'm paraphrasing again, but
what? That's why the photographer's there. It is explained later on.
You'll owe me one, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, then we're in the office. We're in the office with our main character, Robert, and his secretary buzzes him that there's a priest there to see him.
Oh, this is okay. Yeah. Okay, this is really cool. This scene. So
I like the scene. I like the acting in it. The priest, he lets him in, and he was like, because the priest urges the secretary to let Robert know that it's a matter of like grave importance. And the door opens, and this priest steps in, and I originally thought this was the same priest that he met at the beginning of the movie, but they're actually totally different. But this guy looked tweaked out of his mind. This guy, like this priest, like if I didn't know better, like if I was Robert in that situation, I was like, right, this guy has actually murdered a real priest.
This guy's messed up.
This guy's murdered a real priest. He's taken all his belongings and like put them on himself, and now he's trying to pass as a priest. The guy is tweaked. He's panicking. He's imploring Robert. He's just dropping all these like fact bombs on Robert. He's like that he needs to taste the flesh of Christ and like drink the blood of Christ. That he needs to accept Christ as a savior to fight the son of the devil. And like Robert's so calm in this situation. Like
it's
Robert's
so
just like
metal.
It's
so metal. Like you tell him this like 60-year-old American with his white hair and his like, yo, you need to do all of this stuff.
Like Robert is a commanding voice, like you said, but he's not like a small guy either. Like he's a built man for like his age. Yeah. Like, and he's just so unfazed. This priest is like, he's panicking and he's not making a whole lot of sense. For us as the audience in this moment of time, he's not making a whole lot of sense to Robert in the moment of time. So Robert's like, right, well, I don't want any of this.
Security.
I don't like Father Brennan.
Father Brennan. Is that his name, Brennan?
I have my own reasons for it, because I hate when movies we have a priest, they have to be Irish. I don't like it. I hate it. And it's because I'm Irish and I'm watching an American movie, expecting them to use like an American priest. But every single time a movie has a priest character that comes through, they somehow just all seem to be Irish, and I don't know why.
They all seem to be Irish, and most of them are unhinged in some way. And like this guy is another example of it. He gets cut off before he says, and it's crazy now to tie back after the reveal later in the movie, but like his mother was a Jah, right? And I was like, okay, well,
his mother was a what?
A Jah, so J-A, and then it cuts off before he can finish what he was making. Robert gets security to remove him. Keep that in mind, Seb. Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Okay, that's pretty cool. Right.
So Robert gets heated, and he's like, security, get rid of him. And the guy, I could just imagine the security guard walks up to him, and this guy is stinking of meth and probably alcohol.
This changes so much for me.
Yeah,
that one line. It makes the graveyard stuff seem like that makes a lot of sense now. Okay, that's fucking wild. Holy shit!
It definitely improved
the graveyard.
It definitely improved the graveyard scene for me. And then the priest is escorted off the premises. Jennings is outside, our photographer. He's outside and he's still trying to fix his camera. And for some reason, he just like he calls the priest father, and the priest turns and he takes a picture of him. And that'll be meaningful in a later scene.
Yeah. It's pretty good setup then. What they've done here, it's a real good setup. You've got your priest, you've got your photographer. Mm-hmm. You don't understand why they're doing these things right now, but it's going to make sense. I really like that. I like that a lot. That's really cool.
And that's why, I enjoyed like when you watch it, and then you kind of like when you kind of like sew back like the story threads, you're like, okay. So it earns a few more points for me in terms of like its narrative, and the way its narrative kind of like connects back to previous scenes in the movie. But now we're actually at. This is another one of my, like, a lot of my favorite scenes of this movie happens when they're kind of like laying down, the beats, the foundation. So this is the one you were talking about, Seb, with the we're introduced to the new nanny.
Can I just say before we get to a new nanny? When you analyze a movie in the way that we've kind of fallen into doing, right? When we go through we've got like our storylines, we've got our beats, and you're taking it apart really as we're discussing each part. That can almost make, I think a lot of the time that can make a movie worse, right? You overanalyze something, but I have found even more love for these movies that we've covered by doing it. So maybe for a good movie, it improves it, and for a bad movie, it makes it worse. Maybe there's something to that, because and I've got an appreciation for film as well. So it's really cool to see this. It's also really cool to see the similarities. Like when you make your hit movie in the future, Steve-el, as a future filmmaker, as a current filmmaker, you need to
An undisclosed location, just a car driving.
The keys to success. We're finding them out as we go along with these movies here.
We're just learning the similarities and what each movie kind of needs. Yeah. To be well liked.
Right, but this is cool. This is really cool. Maybe my opinion will have completely changed by the end of this. It's just awesome.
I had a really weird moment with this nanny that's coming up.
Right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's get to the nanny.
When she shows up, I'll let Steve get into it after, but when she showed up, her face was very familiar to me. I was like, I've seen the movie, so it's probably just the face is clicking with me. But when I looked it up, who she actually is, her actress's name is Billy Whitelaw, who is the hotel manager who does the crosswords in Hot Fuzz.
Oh,
that is not the only Hot Fuzz reference we're gonna get.
No.
That's wild.
There's one scene in particular that was very Hot Fuzz to me, and I just wrote,
"Oh, Hot Fuzz." We'll get to that soon. Well, maybe not soon. Yeah, we've spent 55 minutes, and we're only.
Oh my god! And I was so confident. I was like, this is going to be our shortest episode comfortably. Like
absolutely, me too. This
is crazy.
We'll get this done in an hour.
We'll get to see it. And in the next 5 minutes, we'll just speed run the rest of the plot. Like I'll just.
That's nuts.
That is nuts. So we're introduced to the new nanny. She introduces herself as Mrs. Baylock. Am I pronouncing that? I think that's right, Mrs. Baylock. And then I wrote down. She introduced herself. She wants to meet Damien. I wrote here. Robert is in a moment of post-nut clarity, and I don't know why I put this down here.
Wait, Steve. Yeah. Before you watch this movie, were you horny?
No. I swear I wasn't. I just got off stream. I just finished DVD, so that would be dabbing to say
stream makes Steve horny.
I had a delicious Chinese takeout, so I was like, no, that was
takeaway as well. Yeah. Amazing.
So I just finished stream against the Skull Merchant. Actually, it was my last game, so it definitely wasn't
perfect.
That. Yeah. So because I thought I was leading to a good little punchline with it, because I was like, Robert he's got post-nut clarity because Cathy asks him, "Where did you find her?" Like, where did you find her? Where did you hire her from somewhere? And he stares into her for a second. He's like, I didn't hire her. Like, and I thought you hired her, because for the first half an hour with the montages we've seen and like some of like Robert's interactions with his wife, I was like, the guy just wants to smash all the time.
So the movie is, maybe this is a way hardier movie than I first thought, because the way it's filmed, I was talking about how everything's like hazy and smoky, and it's almost got this like angelic effect to it, especially when they're like walking by the river earlier on. Very post-nut. Right?
Yeah. Thank you. See? Thank you.
I hate it here. It's the Omen and post-nut is never something I ever want to put together.
And it's like the nanny technically she dies of extreme asphyxiation. So it goes deeper. I wasn't horny then. I'm not horny now. I promise. But those are just my takeaways in the moment.
This is the earliest we've ever recorded one of these as well.
Exactly.
Morning wooden right now. I wrote the nanny's from the agency. That's all she says. The agency.
That's it. Like,
and then they're gonna check it. The wife is she's a bit suspicious, and she's like, okay. And
I'm gonna look into it.
The nanny instead just hands her references, like a little book of references, and then they never look into it.
They never look into it.
She's from. If they just looked into it, right? If they'd called the agency, they would have realized that the number they're calling is like 0800 Satan agent nannies, right?
Yeah. Because her whole demeanor.
There's a lot of weird parenting in this movie.
Exactly, some weird parenting decisions, but
She's desperate to see Damien too.
She's immediately like she's frame one. She is like, yeah, no, I want to see the boy now. It's like, and they just like, yeah, he's in his room, and then Robert's like, yeah, wait, actually, where did she come from? Cash is like, I have no idea. I like the agency. It's just such an ominous. Just the agency. What like
the agency?
Like, that would just give me like Hitman vibes, you know, like where,
like she's got like a barcode on.
Yeah, it's just
at the end when they're like looking in Damien's hair, and it's just a barcode.
No. They just I wish there was like a hidden scene where she's just got like a wig on a little bust on her dresser, and she just sleeps bald, and she just a barcode on the back of her
Agent
head.
666 turned into Damien.
She's a bit of a hitman, you know. And
we'll get into that as well.
Yeah, but, I wrote they just let this sus nanny look after Damien. What the fuck?
Yeah, they're the most easygoing parents in some regards. That like they let her into the house. They have a little conversation and they just our son is upstairs in his bedroom, and then afterwards they start to question things. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, there you go. That's what it does to you. That's what the clarity does to you. But
I really like the shot of when the nanny meets Damien for the first time in the room.
Yeah.
The way he's lying on the floor, he's playing. There's a fire behind them, and he looks up, and even the way he just looks up, like, you're a creepy little fucking kid, and the fire is there. There's just so much like cool, like hellish fucking imagery in that scene.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And I was surprised there was I was looking out for that whole kind of I was looking out for little references like that to just because what we know of hell according to the religious text, it's like that. It's just all fire, you know. It's all fire, brimstone, you know, misery and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, that scene for me was like, okay, well, yeah, there you go. He's looking up at her, and there's just the flames behind him. And for the first time, actually, that I noticed, that I took note of, that there's something in the background that's actually in focus. The fire is in focus there, behind him. And I'm like, okay, now they're focusing on things that probably are important to what the message they're trying to convey.
They almost wrote this nanny out of the script because she's, again, with this ambiguousness.
Yeah.
Like, you have a scene with him in front of the flames. That's a very ambiguous thing. But then you just have the most suspicious nanny in the world walk in. And I think the nanny is great. Like, she's so well acted. She's fantastic.
It's a wonderful performance.
Yeah, but like they could have taken her out.
If I would have liked. Okay, they were going to take her out, right? And then they're like, okay, no, we're going to keep her in, right? Well, add her as an element of ambiguous, of ambiguousness,
play her less suspicious.
We're off to it. If we're trying to play her less suspicious, her intro could not be any more suspicious. So I guess they were like, no, let's just keep Damien's aspect ambiguous, but let's make it clear that this woman has an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I have there. I love the scene. It's tight. It's direct. It gives us the information that we need to know. And then it has the final shot with them just meeting, and they're not speaking. They're just staring at each other, and you're just like, okay, something. This is going to be the beginning of something really. Really
it's almost
disastrous.
Like a knowing between them, even though it's the first time they've met. You know?
They're meeting,
yeah. Maybe they met back at the agency, you know. Maybe
when Damien got his little tattoo
together.
I got nothing else for this. Bex, you got anything?
No, once we get into the next scene, that's all I had was the little bit of the fire scene.
So the kid Damien, he was actually cast. Oh, in fact, Steve, do you want to just say what happens in the next scene, and then I'll get into why the kid was cast?
Oh, yeah, because I know why he was cast. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, because it plays a role.
Well,
you
can take over. You can go.
No, because I only found out about that literally when I was just checking my notes before we got into the call. But no, I'd like to hear your take, and if I have anything to add onto it, then
okay.
Well, or Beckham has anything to add onto it. So. The next day, they're heading to mass, they're heading to church, And Cathy is asking Mrs. Baylock if she could, get Damien ready, get him dressed and ready for church. And Mrs. Baylock's like, again, it's like, oh no, I don't think a 5-6-year-old boy, I think he's still at this age, isn't he? 5-year-old boy should be attending. Like she makes like a decent argument that like he shouldn't really be going to church. It's like it's not going to be meaningful.
This nanny is overstepping.
She is overstepping. She's telling parents, like as far as we know, she's been there. What by this point we don't see a time jump, or we don't see like a 1 week later or the next day or anything like that. So we're not sure how long she's been employed now at this point. But she's just like, yeah, no, church isn't for him.
Yeah, and I just assumed this is like first week or so, and she's decided she knows the kid better than the parents, and the kid shouldn't be going to church. What do you mean, a kid going to church?
Yeah, like it makes no sense. And Cathy, like badass mum, is just like, no, I want him to go to church. He needs to go to church. Get him ready now. Like I'm not going to ask you again. So Mrs. Baylock relents, and we go to they're in the car. They're like there's not much like to that scene. If please, if any of you have
Damien
like any kind of
gets so pissed going to the church.
Yeah. Like we're in the car, and as we're getting closer to the church, the epic music kicks in again.
The kid, the actor's name is Harvey Spencer, right? And he was actually cast. Richard Donner was casting the children himself, and he was getting them to act out this scene that's coming up.
Yeah.
So it's the kid freaking out because he doesn't want to go to church. Yeah. And again, pretty ambiguous, kid just doesn't want to go.
Yeah, but, I've done that before.
The reason why Richard Donner cast why he cast Harvey Spencer was because he went full on. Yeah. And he was like scratching at Richard Donner's face, and he even kicked him in the nuts. Oh. And then Donna was like, "This is the kid, dye his hair black, let's go."
Yeah, because he was blonde hair, wasn't he? He's naturally blonde.
Also makes him look like unnaturally pale when you have this black hair on him.
The dark hair, against his pale skin, it just makes him stand out even more.
So he got it. He got the part because of this. So that's really cool.
He actually like assaulted the director.
Yeah, he assaulted the director and he got the part, which. Yeah, cool.
It's a great scene. It's again they're driving, and as they get close, he gets more and more agitated. It keeps going from him.
So they're driving. There's a lot of people standing outside of this church. It was almost as if they were waiting for him.
Yeah, right.
And they're all looking in shock and horror at him freaking out in the car. Yeah, and not wanting to go to church at all, having a huge tantrum. Yeah, we all had tantrums and stuff.
I had tantrums going to church, and I'm sure like Beckham has as well. Because over here, we were dragged to church as kids. We were.
My nanny is
grandparents.
My grandmother is very religious, and when we moved back from England, my mum and dad didn't move back with us for I think it was a couple of months. I don't know exactly how long. So we lived with our grandmother, and every single weekend we were dragged to fucking church. I hated it so much.
Did you ever react the way Damien did in the car? Or?
We were more sulky. We just sat there with like pouty faces, being like, "We better get something for going to this."
Yeah, I was the same. My grandparents used to drag me to it, and I would kick and scream in the car. I would never assault or bite or scratch because if I did, I would have got whooped. But I would be sulking, and there was one thing that I always enjoyed at the end of church. I was nasty. I was probably like a little bit of a Damien myself as a kid, but there was one bit. So at the end of church, for anyone who's not aware, if their practices are different when they go to mass, but in Ireland we used to have a thing before COVID where we would offer each other a sign of peace at the end of the sermon, where we'd turn to people around us and shake their hands. I used to make it my mission that anyone who shook my hand, I would squeeze as hard as I could. And it would there would be all old people, and their hands would be I would be there with both hands squeezing intently. And the amount of times my grandmother, God bless her, God rest her soul, she would clip me around the ear, and I would just don't bring me to church anymore. And the very next Sunday, same again, and I'd squeeze even tighter. But I fully understand. I fully understand why Damien didn't want to go, but I think his reasons were a little bit more extreme than mine. I was just sulky. He was he probably had an ulterior agenda. He just didn't want to be in the building, because I love the cuts between him starting to get more agitated, and there's just like a statue, or like it's there's a bust of Jesus Christ on top of the church, and the music kicks in. It's epic, and it's cutting between the two. Like, he's in the car, he knows he has nowhere to go. He's probably feeling claustrophobic. He doesn't want to be there, and he just starts throwing hands. He just starts
he's really freaking out. He's going for it.
The sound of his screams, the sound design is different, and it sounds very like The Exorcist. There's this kind of like deeper, like demonic-y kind of sound to it, more than just it's a kid in the car screaming. There's some kind of sound design done to his voice when he's screaming that just, I have it written here, it's just like very like Reagan and The Exorcist.
Sound design and soundtrack. That's just where it's at for this movie.
It's chef's kiss. Like, there is. I noticed that as well. Great point, Beckham. That it's like a feral, just like demonic.
They didn't go with the Night of the Living Dead weird screeching sound effect.
No. This sounds like no 5-year-old boy should be producing this sort of sound. Like, it's just, and I thought, oh no, maybe it's the acoustics inside the car or anything like that, or maybe because like all the windows were up and everything like that. No, this is hideous. This is hideous the way, and
it's like animalistic, isn't it?
Yeah,
animalistic,
and it's great. Like he starts just his mum gets the brunt of it, and like he drops a whooping, and Robert tells the driver as they pull up. The crowd is here, like you said. The crowd is there to greet them, Seb, and they see everything going on as like because the car door opens, and they just see Damien laying the smackdown really in the back seat. And Robert's like, no, we have to go. Like, he tells the driver to drive on. That church is not going to be on the schedule today.
The mother, Catherine, she says, this is such a great saying. I really, really like this. I'm going to use this if I ever have a bad day. She says, the best thing to do with a bad day like this is to end it.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm just like, oh, that's really nice. I like that. Yeah, just finish it, get over it, new day. Like,
just
that's
finish
really cool.
it. And that's why Kathy is one of my favorite characters, because she's like, she's saying that, Seb, while she's looking in the mirror and her face is literally bruised to hell. Like, she's so casual about it. Like, her 5-year-old son just gave her like probably biggest beatdown like she's ever had to experience, and she's just like, yeah, no, the best thing if you're having a bad day, just end it. And it's like,
everybody gets to tussle with the son of the devil, you know. That's
the son of the devil.
Something.
No? And she she walked away a few bumps and scratches, like few bruises.
So good.
So far, so good. What did you think of that scene, Beckham?
I really like it because it's our first sign of, okay, there's more going on with Damien as well. Do you know that kind of way when we get into the car, them dragging away? Because at the beginning, you're just getting creepy kid vibes. It could be anything going on. This is your first time where, okay, maybe there's something to do with the church. They're getting closer to the church. Whatever's inside him, possessing him, or whatever way you want to say it, is starting to react to the church. There's little sprinkles of just, there's a lot more going on in the background of this one.
This is the most Damien does until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I do like that. Again, ambiguousness. I love that shit. You know, he is just like
just a normal on the exterior, just a normal kid.
I guess in the next coming up, we've got the scene where he's on his little trike. But in terms of like physically, like emoting, this is the most he is, because he's quite a subdued performance.
Subdued performance. He barely speaks, you know.
Yeah. It's about, he is, you know, he is the titular character for the second movie, you know, Damien, Omen 2. But yeah, it's not really, the camera doesn't hang on him too often. It just hangs on him enough. So I like that. That's, are we done there? What's next?
We're done with that's the church. So it's now obviously Kathy's trying to kind of play it off, right? She's doing her she's doing like she's trying to cover her bruises. She's talking about maybe the doctor, or like she's talking about the doctor, and then Robert interjects that maybe like the doctor should take a look at him because he's never been sick. And they really kind of like, they really focus on this and like in a way that it's like, oh, but yeah, no, he's 5 years old. He's never been sick in any sense since he was born. And they're like, Robert's like, isn't that a little bit strange? And Kathy kind of is like, no, I mean, it's good parenting. He's doing like he's doing well. He's just a normal, healthy kid. So
it would be more thematic if he was 6 years old.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look up right now how old he is, because everything starts when he turns 5 years old, right?
Yeah.
Because it's his 5th birthday, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But when the nanny jumps off the building. Yeah, that was his 5th.
A little bungee jump.
The actor was 5.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how old.
But then I suppose in a way you could say, right, he's just turned 5, right? He's on the, like, as the movie progresses, he's on the
next movie takes place 7 years later and he's 12. So he is.
Yeah, he is 5.
He is 5. Okay, yeah.
But then you can say,
why 5? Why does all of this stuff start to happen when he becomes 5?
I guess, yes, Seb, you could look at that as Beckham said, the build up, like he's on the right. So he's 5 now. He's on the cusp now of turning 6, where probably shit really hits the fan.
As far as we're aware, nothing spooky, nothing ominous has happened before his birthday, right?
Exactly. No. So it's after the birthday event, everything now starts to kind of unravel,
Yeah.
And then Robert is talking about doctor, the claim that he's never been sick, and it's just coincidence in Kathy's mind that like just good parenting, she's happy, there's no reason to worry. Robert then leaves and he attempts to go and check in on Damien, and then
he's walking down the corridor. Yeah. And what does he see?
He just sees the dog. The dog is just outside the door again, just on like the dog. The dogs are normally thought of somebody's like dogs are normally seen as like protectors of the house, like in families.
Man's best friend.
First of all, this dog is not the family dog. Like Robert is like, oh, what's going on here? And then
it's growling at him.
It's growling.
It's scary.
It's snarling. Yeah,
I have a little cockapoo, right? And he's a lovely fluffy boy. Shout out to Enzo. And he loves to play with the bigger dogs. In fact, he accidentally interrupted a big dog training session that was happening in the park. I didn't realize. I was very embarrassed. I was like, sorry, guys. He went up and he said hi to all of these big Rottweilers, and they were all lovely.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I think this movie gave Rottweilers a bad rep.
Unfortunately.
I think with bad dogs, it's nearly always bad owners or people who don't know how to look after the owners.
Exactly.
My family are big dog families, and like we've never had a problem with any of the dogs. And we've had tons of like Staffordshire Bull Terriers, Rottweilers, and they've all ended up being really, really soft. It's always owners. The owners don't treat a dog right; they're going to turn out.
Owners.
100%.
But if you've ever had a situation where a dog is growling at you, even like when Enzo was like tiny, he once got like overprotective because he found a piece of chicken on the floor, and he was doing a little growl, and I'm like, no, that is scary. You just suddenly realize, oh yeah, it's an animal. That's
they have their instincts,
So if a big dog is growling at you, like that's I wouldn't even stay in that corridor. I'd be like slowly walking back.
like Robert.
He thinks his kid is on the other side, so I guess you got to do something about that.
He wants to get through. Like, but Robert is pure alpha energy in this movie throughout. Like
he's pretty alpha guy, Robert.
Yeah, like he stares down the dog. The dog is growling. He's obviously disturbed because like who is this dog? Where did it come from? Why is it in my house? And then the nanny of the year, she appears again, and she's just like, oh yeah, no, I thought I
found the dog outside.
And I just wanted to.
I like how the dog eases up the minute Miss Baylock shows up. Yeah. The dog instantly relaxes the minute she steps up beside him.
Yeah, so it's like you're thinking to yourself, right? They're in coots as well. This dog. The dog was. We only seen it earlier with the nanny in the nanny scene, and now we're seeing it again, and like it's vicious towards or it's vicious protective, maybe just like like trying to intimidate Robert, and then once the nanny appears, it calms.
We were talking about overstepping earlier. She's taken a lot of liberties here. So she's found a random dog. And she's brought it into the house. And it's snarling and growling. It's a vicious dog. And she's then explaining, hey, I thought Damien could use it, you know, some protection, some company. And like, no, fire this person.
Yeah, she said, and she's established that Damien loves the dog, so Damien's already interacted with the dog, unbeknownst to Kathy and definitely Robert. Like, Robert's just like I'm surprised. Yeah, he's so calm and collected,
real chill about it.
He's chill, but he's like, the dog has to go, and he like, this was never discussed. He doesn't want a dog in the house. You know, he has absolutely. It's his house. He can make these decisions. And he's just like, I want it gone. Is that all I have? Yeah, that's all I have of this scene.
It's quite a short scene. Did I miss anything? We're going to move on to the zoo. Bex, do you have anything before we?
No, I think the zoo is the big important part.
This is, I like this scene as well. So we had like a little bit of a kind of like nice little combo of just good scene after good scene here. So I'm like, it's steady so far, and we're being like kind of like we're given just enough to know like that something is eerily wrong. But yeah, the zoo scene, I adore this one as well. Kathy decides to take Damien out for like a day at the zoo, which, as you do, you know, of course. But the main thing I have here is that the animals, like we've giraffes, and then later on we have baboons, but they're just terrified of his presence. Like Damien's presence is like, and giraffes are like, there's like a flock of giraffes, and they're just like
flock of giraffes. Dude.
Yeah, they're like looking down at, they're like chilling, they're eating they're eating their leaves or whatever, and they just look down at Damien, and they're just like, giraffes are fast animals.
They freak out. They start running. You don't want to freak out a giraffe, although you could imagine they're pretty easy to freak out. I don't know. I've never really been around giraffes.
I'd imagine, they're probably quite easy to spook.
But yeah, they do not like Damien. They're not fans. Like, so far, we've got the dog loves Damien, but no other animals seem to really enjoy Damien. So you have the giraffes, that's pretty short, and then we get to the monkeys, right?
Yep.
And so they're driving in a car, and the monkeys start freaking out. And they're running away, and then they start attacking the car, right?
Yeah.
And the way they filmed that scene is they tranquilized a baboon and they put it in the back seat.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then the flock of baboons.
The flock.
The flock. They were. They were obviously freaked out because, oh my God, what if our flock is being taken away, right?
Yeah.
A member of our flock, and it actually traumatized is the woman who plays Catherine again. Apparently it traumatized her, and her reaction was completely authentic.
Okay.
It's real bad, real scary, because they're smashing the windows and they're smashing into the car, and
they're
I would have been pretty fucking scared.
They're screaming. I wonder how many takes that took as well. Like imagine if Stanley directed this movie, like he would just have that. He would put that poor actress in that car for like probably 6-7 hours shooting.
A baboon would have been wearing Shelley Duvall's wig.
The baboon in the back would have been just like, its fur would have just been like matting and falling off just from like the trauma of like.
All the baboons smoking cigarettes to relax. They've been stressed out too.
We've got, so this brings me to the first Omen curse thing right here. Sorry, what did you say there? What did you say?
Lee Remick, I think was the actor's name.
Yeah, that's Catherine. So the animal handler who helped with the crazy baboon scene was actually mauled to death by a tiger shortly after shooting Wrapped.
Wow.
So that is a death that is connected, not really connected, like around the Omen. Around the Omen. So that's brutal. And that's not the only one. I'll get into it more as we go on. To get back to the scene itself, I've written down, poor kid. First off, his nanny dies, right?
Yeah.
Then his dogs are getting sent to the RSPCA, right? His dog. Then the giraffes run away for him. The monkeys attack him, and his dad looks like Father Ted. Like,
yeah. And it is. That's true, actually. I never thought of that. And Gregory Peck, actually, they're both pastors. But it's like there is a scene actually with Robert in between all of this going on, and he's probably driving to work, or he's been driven to work, and I'm not sure it's stated, but I think it's not far outside of like his mansion grounds. He drives, and just the tweaked out priest is just on the side of the road, just like still present, still probably trying to get in touch with Robert. Yeah. So that, like, listen, if he may have been a meth head like Father Brennan, but he was committed to the cause, and we will see him again. After that, then so that's great. I didn't know that, but the baboon scene. I can understand why. Yeah, to get a reaction out of that, like. Man.
Yeah, how do you film like animals reacting in a certain way?
Like instinct kicking in. One of their own. They probably thought being taken away. Crazy good scene. Great dedication to it, because I wouldn't have sat in that car with a.
All of these like harder to do scenes are shot very well. There's a lot of good detail in them. They shoot them from so many different angles. They use a lot of different cameras, and they're really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And then. The kind of interactions between characters are kind of just like very simple to me a lot of the time, you know. So it's ups and downs. There's one scene then in the future that we get to, and I want to ask then if you know how they kind of shot that. It was another animal scene, so I'm looking forward to finding out. I'm not sure, but so what happens after the monkeys?
So why do I have it written again? But Kathy and Robert are in bed, and Kathy, right? So the clarity has hit Robert again, right? So he's asking Kathy about the zoo, and like she's saying, we know what's after happening, and Kathy is afraid to reveal something that's on her mind. And she says to Robert that if I ever tell you or something like that, right? So I'm paraphrasing again, because I don't take down the exact dialogue like in my notes, because I would fill pages of pages of this journal. I'd need a new journal by the end. But she won't reveal what's after happening, and she says something along the lines of, "If I would tell you, you'd have me committed." Like, so obviously, because it probably sounds so crazy to him. He'd put her in a home, right? And she asks Robert, like, promise me you would do that if I ever said it, or promise me you would do it for me. And Robert,
she's starting to believe that there is something
wrong, right? And she's asking Robert to like do this for her, but Robert in this moment, right, in a normal husband way, would like. No, darling, I would never do that to you. I'll be there to support you. But Robert is probably just after. Just laying serious pipe, right? He's not thinking clearly, and he's telling Kathy, "Yeah, darling, of course I will do that for you." It's like, that's not the answer she's looking for. She's looking for reassurance. But you have probably just got your nut off, and you're thinking, I think you're just going to agree. But
Gregory Pecker, am I right?
Gregory.
Can we get a nut count in the comments, please?
Like, listen, right? I'd say. Right, you're an ambassador for Great Britain, right? And you're living in a new country. It's
politicians are on like speed and cocaine and stuff.
Exactly. He's probably stressed.
Going for it, you know.
And like rather than be like Father Brennan, who is up to his eyeballs in meth, like.
That is right. They do establish that he actually is methed out, right?
Yeah, like Robert. Okay. Robert probably is like, right. Well, Robert's he's a good lad. He probably doesn't like his main vice is probably he's probably just perpetually horny. So like, there's worse ways of dealing with the stress of his job. You know what?
You're not. Yeah, you are onto something, because they do establish later that she does get pregnant again.
Yes.
So they must have been going at it.
Yeah, like rabbits. Yeah.
I can't believe the Omen is the horniest episode we've done so far.
So far, I want to specify that.
None of this is in my notes, by the way. There's not a single reference to being in bed or post-nut clarity in any of my notes.
I'm trying to think of, like, you know, how it's this Christian scare movie, you know, and like this sex bad, you know, it was the 70s, right?
Exactly. It was taboo, like, and the whole religious aspect, and that, it could be another thing, like, because you did not think that, like, you know, kids would be, this wouldn't be possible with a child. So, like, the other message could be that, like, they just fornication bad, but they
are doing it for a good cause in the Christian mindset, right? So it's for procreation,
exactly,
and then
giving
marriage,
birth to life, like birthing new life. But that's all I have for that, which I kind of wish I didn't have for that. Now I kind of skipped that whole point on my notes, but here we are. It's out there now. It's going to be on YouTube.
Whenever they're underneath the covers, you always look and see if there's a lump, you know, in the center of the bed, right? You always... she's afraid. Robert he says he'll respect her wishes. We cut to the next scene, and anything, does anybody want to follow up my notes? You want to take the reins with that? Can what I just said?
What can we say to follow the horny?
You know, the devil has horns as well. So
symbolism. The symbolism.
Last week we were talking about what people got out of a movie. When people do an analysis out of a piece of artwork, maybe it says more about them than the piece of artwork.
I did ask Steve earlier.
I'm gonna have to just the next time I'm watching, like, for the next episode, I'm probably just gonna have to take a cold shower before I sit down and watch my movie, and I'm not gonna do it the night before.
Spoilers for Steve's choice next. It's 50 Shades of Grey.
And my notes will literally be like Jack Torrance's, like, writing last week in the Omen, where it's just the horny word over and over again, just like in all different forms.
Until it's done.
That is crazy. You would say it. Just like so casually like that. No, right.
Bex loves The Shining.
Bex has been there. Yeah,
I've enjoyed The Shining.
He got very excited at the shower scene.
I did, yeah. Especially when she transformed over to the old lady. That gets it.
Yeah. Oh man, rub and tug until it's done. Now that is you've had that in the chamber.
Are we going back to the priest talking to Robert?
No. Yes,
is that the rugby match?
This is at the rugby match, right? Yeah. Just a little bit kickabout with the lads. The rugby match, I guess that's just it's to tell us that, you know, outside of his job and his family, you know, Robert likes Britain. Britain. Like, you know, rugby is like, outside of football, rugby is like their next biggest sport, if not bigger than, in some places it might be even bigger than football, but it's a huge sport over there. Robert's like, right, he's probably never seen this, you know, he's American, they have American football, but it's a lot softer and it's a lot less probably like physically intense.
Are you guys sporty at all?
Yeah, I'm football.
I like football and I like basketball. Yeah. I really like basketball.
Oh, really? Okay.
Football really comes with my name and my dad. I don't really have a choice.
Yeah, I assumed so. So.
But they'd be my two favorites. Rugby, I've always tried to understand, but it's too complex for my peanut brain.
I'm glad you said peanut brain.
No, I say pea, and then I said nut at the end. It's still there somewhere.
Nuts.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, my uncle used to be a rugby player, and he almost went blind because he got kicked in the eyes by somebody else. You know, when he went down, he had to have like laser eye surgery to try and get it better. But it's a dangerous sport.
It's a dangerous sport. High speed and like just the wrong hit will.
I just want to take the floor. Today, England will be playing in the Euros, but by the time this episode comes out, they'll either have won or lost. So I'm covering both grounds. It's not this year for us, guys. And it's coming home this time, boy. It's coming home. I'm covering both grounds. I don't know how it's going to go, but I support England in football.
Yeah, you flip nationalities so effortlessly. Like sometimes
I can.
Sometimes you're Irish. Most time you're Australian. But today you're English somehow. Yeah. Okay.
Whenever it benefits me to be English, I'm English. Whenever it benefits me to be Irish, I'm Irish. I can do both.
I see.
That's what happens when you have two passports. You know.
Two passports.
I have an English one that's out of date, but I could get one if I wanted, and I have an Irish one. Yeah,
I'm going away next week. I'm going to be in lovely Spain. Yeah. My friend just texted me. He goes, dude, he's already there. It's 30 degrees. I'm going to
beautiful. Melt. You're going to melt, but you're going to love it.
Yeah, but my passport runs out like this year or next year. I'm going to have to get one of them blue ones.
Blue passport.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the movie.
Good rugby session with the boys. I guess it's just Robert's way of kind of like, mixing with the locals, kind of like he's never seen this sport before. I would assume. What, you never know.
What is this?
Just a load of lads in like shorts just running around a muddy field with an egg-shaped ball.
These idiots don't have helmets.
This is like American football, but not the same.
They don't put all their armor on. Are they going to get brain damage?
Yeah, where's the padding?
Damage.
Robert's chill about it, and everyone's leaving, and then Father Brennan appears again, stinking of whatever's in his system by this point, and he's just like, your wife is in danger, meet me at Bishop's Park. And Robert is like, he plays it off kind of like, right, leave me alone, get away from me and all that, and then you're thinking, well, will he meet him? Well, he'll have to, because to continue for the plot to progress. But we're told, Father Brennan is not letting this go.
What does Father Brennan tell him to get him to actually agree to meeting up?
Your wife will die. Your wife will die if you don't meet me at 2 tomorrow. Is the caption or the quote I have here? It's like, your wife will die if you don't meet me at 2 tomorrow at this place.
Yeah, you'd go do it then.
Plot-wise, that's insane though. A random priest who probably smells like cigarettes and booze is just coming up and like, your wife is going to be dead tomorrow.
Smell? It probably does, right? So
like
that smells like too.
Like, this is the second time now he's met the priest, and he's still tweaking out, and he's found him at this random rugby match, like, so he's been following and he also seen him like when he's driving past in the car, but this priest has been on his tail for the length of this movie now. Probably even before we first meet him, he's probably been like looking, like researching him and trying to track him down. But he's just like, your wife is going to die if you don't meet me. So your instinct would tell you, right, well, I'll give this guy a chance. I'll probably bring a weapon with me, but I'll give this guy a chance. So
go meet him in the park, and then we get to the park, right?
Yeah, this again, it's a badass scene
before with the photographer in the red room.
Oh yeah, we do. Because
I really like those shots in the red room. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in these photography. I don't even know what they're called. Dark rooms.
Dark rooms. That's
it. Back in college. Developing stuff. It's just awesome. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
What I really like. Is this where he notices the trend, the pattern, or is that later on?
Without telling us, I think this is where he sees it. We don't.
He sees it because he took a picture of the priest when he was first escorted out of the building after Robert and his first meeting.
Well, let's get into the pattern when it's
the reveal
announced.
comes. Yeah, okay. We cut to him for a reason, which we'll get back to.
Yeah, it's good. It lays down the groundwork. It's very good. It's good storytelling, actually. I think that was done really well in Night of the Living Dead as well. And it should be the standard, but in so much modern cinema and TV that it just isn't the case.
No, it's a standard that's
I'm always surprised when I'm happy about these things that just should be normal, But anyway, that's good. That's good stuff. We get so the priest and Robert having their conversation in this.
They're at the park.
At the park, Again, it's got this like hazy camera effect. Yeah, it's just like smeared. Smeared
like
lens,
Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah, and it's almost like. Yeah, it's you would use this effect in a dream sequence now. I guess exactly. I'm just so used to modern or stuff that I've seen since this was made use that effect for dream sequences where my brain just goes, okay, we're in a dream now, but we're not.
No. This effect is used throughout, like the movie and everything. Every time, like it's really what we're seeing is really happening. The meet at Bishop Park.
Bishop Park, it's called. That's cool.
Bishop Park, yeah. Probably a real location. I'd like to look. I should have looked that up. In England, but So Brennan makes a good case at times, but then he speaks sense at sometimes, and then he just starts rambling, which makes it very hard for Robert to kind of believe what he's saying. But
he tells Robert that his son is the devil.
He tells Robert that his son is the devil, that his wife is pregnant. We get that reveal here. He exclaims that Damien is going to try and kill the unborn child.
Yeah.
And he also talks about he also quotes he recites a poem about the rise and birth of the Antichrist. And I wrote the whole thing down here. I had to pause the movie for almost like 5 minutes to get the whole quote down, but it's like, when the Jews return to Zion and a comet fills the sky and the Holy Roman Empire rises, then you and I must die. From the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother till man exists no more. And I'm like, that's bars. Like he's reciting this, right? He's reciting this, and he's just looking straight ahead. Like he's reciting this. And Robert hasn't a clue what any of it means. But yeah, to Robert there, that's probably all just gibberish, right? That's just all nonsensical ramblings. But then, he will talk about killing the child, and then killing Robert himself. Killing Robert himself. And
is that a known poem? Where is that from? Do we know?
I definitely.
Am I wrong? I might be wrong now. I'm going to mention a bit this later. Is it in the Bible? Is Keith not reading out of the Bible at one point, or is it a different scripture completely? I'm not entirely sure now.
Oh, Keith Jennings' character. I think he is I think he's reading it from some transcript of the Bible. Yeah, I think it is. I don't like. If you were to ask me. But then it's about the Antichrist, would the Bible want to draw attention to that?
Don't they talk? Well, not that I'm entirely religiously heavy or whatever, knowledgeable, but I think they do. I don't think they leave it out. I think they would mention it.
Yeah, because I don't think those lines. I'd say they came from somewhere. If it was original scripture done for just the sole purpose of this movie, then incredible. But it has to exist somewhere, And maybe they expanded on it, or maybe, but it's great. And I'll finish my point here, and then I want to hear your guys with the conversation if you have anything for it. But there's Robert dismisses it, but he's perturbed enough that he listens to the whole thing, but then he's almost kind of like outwardly dismissive to Father Brennan. Then but maybe his conscience is probably taking some of it in. But he says you wanted 5 minutes or something like that. I've given you 5 minutes. I never want to see you again. And then, oh my God, another just ace line as he's walking off. Father Brennan just he's still not looking towards Robert, but he's like, you'll see me in hell, Mr. Thorne, where we both will see out our sentence. And I'm just like, wow.
Why does he have to go to hell? He's been a nice guy.
He has been, but yeah, I guess maybe
because he lied to his wife. He was tricked.
I guess maybe Father Brennan thinks he'll be in hell because he maybe didn't do enough to stop this from happening, and I guess he's been a little bit harsh on Robert.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
What's Robert's sins? He's always horny and he likes his wife. Are they sins? I
think the new Omen gives a bigger meaning to that little ending piece.
Okay,
because all of the deeper story that's being told, Brennan is very involved in it. Brennan knows a lot of it. Brennan kind of turns the other cheek a lot of the time when it comes to it as well.
And this is why he's trying so hard to fix it in the future.
To repent, redeem himself. Yeah, so it's just I just love the scene because it's just all dialogue, right? There's very little body language. They're just sat and they talk, and it gets to the point, right? Because you think right. He tells Robert the important stuff about his wife being in danger and his unborn child being in danger, right? And then he recites that passage.
I looked up the passage and I can only find its connection to this movie. I can't find it anywhere else.
So it might be just made for this.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Well, listen. Well done on whoever came up with whatever screenplay. Or scriptwriter came up with that because that's fire.
Yeah.
But it's a great scene, and it gives us it's tight, it's quick, and it tells us a lot of what is coming and what we need to know without hanging around and like just it's to the point. I love the scene, and I love what comes afterwards, and this is where we'll probably get our Hot Fuzz reference, but
so a storm comes.
Yes,
we get the storm. The priest is caught in a storm out of nowhere.
Lightning
starts hitting trees. Yeah. He's getting pushed really hard by the wind, and he's like, "Oh shit! I need to touch safety right now.
Yeah,
I need to." The devil's playing tag, and I need to get to the church because that's where it's safe. So he starts running for the church. He's trying to jump a fence. Lots of fence jumping in this, in this movie. It's quite a few times. Lightning hits the fence as soon as he gets past it, as soon as he jumps over it. That's real scary. And then he gets to the church. You guys want to take the lead here?
Like, it's just, I'll let Beckham take the lead here because I just want to put in the part. Like, it's the irony of the church gates being locked, because don't they always say that, like, oh, the church is Christ's house, it's always open to anybody who needs it, and like we get to this church and
it's
like
keeping him out.
Wait, the gates are locked.
But we find out shortly after that, like, he has been sticking by this church in case maybe this has happened to him before.
Yeah.
And he just runs to the church every time because you know what I mean? Because he's been living purposefully next to the church, inside of the church. And he asked Robert to meet next to this park,
to the church,
next to the park next to the church. Maybe every time he steps out the house, lightning is coming after him. There's dark clouds following him.
Could you imagine that? Because that's so wild to me, right? The storm rises right after Robert leaves. Somehow, right? According to like what we're seeing, like this storm doesn't affect Robert in any way. No. So like, could you imagine just everybody going about their business in England, and you had this poor
you
priest.
See a messed up priest running down the street with a cloud following him.
Just lightning strikes, and you're just like, he's just trying to wave off, or it looks like his clothes and stuff like that are in a strong breeze when it's so calm out. Just, oh man, like
there goes Father Brennan fighting the clouds again.
Yeah. It's so the poor guy, but no, like, Beckham, you like.
Do you want me to take this way?
Yeah, take this way.
So yeah, we've had our Father Brennan's been chased out by the wind. He gets over towards the church. Lightning strikes. Is it lightning rod? Is what they're called? That's on top of the church.
I was wondering what that was. It's a lightning rod on top of the church.
Yeah, it hits that snaps.
Yeah,
we get the Hot Fuzz reference of a scene where this rod flies straight down.
Yeah.
Kind of slow.
Yeah.
I think Father Brennan probably could have moved. But in complete shock, he's looking up and he's like, oh.
There's quite a few scenes where the camera, this is maybe off the time, where the camera stays on a character's reaction.
Yeah.
When they definitely had time to do anything else, but they will stay staring for the shot, to make an impact for the shot. Like,
but like, after the rod impales Father Brennan, I like the shot where it sits on him then for a minute, where he's like, his body does a little slouch, and then we get a good 3-4 seconds where we're just looking at it.
What a great shot.
Really, really, really good.
This is again, it's one of those scenes like the deaths in this are very well done.
Very well done.
At this point, I was like, oh, I wish the movie was more ambiguous, because we are watching, this is proto Final Destination.
Yeah.
I adore the Final Destination movies.
Yeah, I mentioned Final Destination for our last Killing This as well. It's so Final Destination.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Some great Final Destination stuff in here. And that, the first Final Destination, maybe we'll cover Final Destination at one point. The first Final Destination has like an entity that's after them. It is death that's after them. And like it will physically move like water to touch electric to electrocute somebody. And then the rest of the movies, it's a lot more like natural deaths. And this, like,
I don't know. No, I rewatched it recently. There's a lot of bullshit in some of the later ones too, where it's like it's very forcing it as well.
But there's no entity physically moving things where they shouldn't be. Right?
Yeah, no.
There's an
invisible
invisible force in the first movie that I don't think is as present. There are bullshit, crazy deaths in the future ones. In fact, they only ramp up from there on. But it's almost like there's a little Harry Potter with an invisibility cloak in the first one, just moving things around. But this movie feels a lot like that first Final Destination. And we're going to get to that when we meet Camera Boy as well, when we get back to him. But yeah, what a cool scene. What a shocking death. And the priest goes to the church for safety, and the church is what ends up killing him. Brutal, metal, shocking. Can I get a heavy guitar riff? Like so.
Oh,
so cool.
The soundtrack here again. The music is crazy.
The music's epic,
and the Hot Fuzz reference is really, really good.
I'm glad they referenced Hot Fuzz, really and I didn't think they were going to do it. But this guy was obviously a fan of Edgar Wright. Richard Donner.
Oh yeah.
And, we all love the Cornetto trilogy. All three of those movies. We all love all three of those movies.
No, we don't.
What's the last one called?
The World's End is very bad.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are like goated comedy movie, horror movie. And then The World's End is
it's no good. I appreciate The World's End as like a spiritual successor to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. That's nice, but okay. Let's get back to Omen.
Where
are we now? So he seeks shelter in the church. He's a father of the cloth or something was they call priests, and they're like, it's ironic that the doors were shut to him and he was locked outside. And
this happens in a lot of movies that I've seen. Like it's not just Hot Fuzz. I think something similar happens in the movie The Borderlands. Have you guys seen that?
No,
I'm not talking about the video game Borderlands.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's a really amazing found footage, spooky movie about these priests who have to go and investigate a miracle that's happened in the north of England, and stuff is happening. And but it's as you said, like we don't get that many kind of like Christian supernatural big horror movies like this, these with the religious aspects.
I think it's hard to do them now because it doesn't, like anything that does come out, you can always go, oh, it's like The Omen, oh, it's like The Exorcist, oh, it's like Rosemary's Baby. There's no way that you can make one now that's not.
Even this is like, oh, this is like The Exorcist. And this is like a few years after, right? Because The Exorcist did it so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do still exist. They're just mostly lower budget, or they are the Conjuring franchise. The Conjuring franchise really took all of the views.
Shout out to the best, I think, original possession movie we've had in a very long time. Talk to Me.
Oh yeah,
I really, really like it. And I think there's very little that I would attach it to other type of movies.
Mm-hmm. So, it was unique. It was a unique premise. Like. It was just a breath of fresh air. That's why The Omen and The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby is always kind of like so brought up, because it's harder now in modern cinema to, like, the shock value just doesn't exist anymore. Whereas back in the 70s, this stuff would have actually like would have just made a lot of people uneasy. It would really have spooked.
That's true. Yeah,
like we've lost that shock value over years because we've seen so much done that it's very hard to like make an impression like the Omen was able to make on people, the way the Exorcist was able to make on people, like Night of the Living Dead, the impression it was able to make on people. Like we've lost all of that, and that's why I think we would say, well, yeah, it was a movie. It might have lost some of its lush, since it's been made, but it's just because we've been so not spoiled, because not everything has been good, but we've been so
oversaturated,
oversaturated, desensitized by it all,
Mm-hmm.
But great scene, and the next it just we're led back to if I've missed anything here, do step in, but I just have that Kathy is now becoming more and more disturbed by Damien's presence. She's in, I think she's in the lounge room or something like that, or like the library, but
she's in like some kind of like hallway, and is she upstairs and she's fixing like a light or something?
Oh, that's lit. Yeah, that's coming. But Damien is just he's in the. I think he's at a pool table or something like that, right?
Oh, he's been really annoying, isn't he?
Yeah, and she is just agitated. She's done with it, and she's just like he's been high pitched. He's just like screaming over and over again. He's just making like
Bart Simpson smacking the pots and pans on his head.
And she's just like get him out of here. She just calls the nanny. She calls the nanny, and she's just taken away. But it's just
Robert. She tells Robert that she wants an abortion.
Yeah, because and then that's where maybe the cogs in Robert's head is like, oh my god, like the priest told me this, like how could he have known? And she reveals there, and she says that she wants an abortion.
There's a sudden belief in Robert's face. You're just like, oh, he gets it now. It's
starting to click.
Oh fuck. Okay. There's some real here. Some real stuff going on here.
And that's fairly straightforward. Because as much as Robert wants to respect her wishes, he knows that Damien wants that unborn child to be killed, like whether he does it himself or he just doesn't want that child to be given birth to. Like so this is where Robert's like, right, he has to support his wife. He has to be supportive husband, but he knows now if that baby's lost, things are going to get very bad.
We've got that happens, and then there's a very off the time scene that follows.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Robert goes and talks to his wife's psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And there's no client-doctor confidentiality because the psychiatrist just tells Robert everything.
Just spills it out of him like a leaky faucet. He tells him everything. He tells him about her fantasies and like her worries and things like that. It's just like, it's wild. Back then, there was just that confidential thing either didn't exist,
or this didn't exist for the husband.
Because it's like, oh, the husband is he's the breadwinner. He's the money maker, while the moms are normally just stay at home. Like, so it's the case of anything she confided in her psychiatrist. Yeah, no, that's free real estate.
So what does do you have a written down detail? What's the psychiatrist telling Robert here?
I don't have it written down. But I know he's basically echoing her sentiments that she's
afraid of Damien.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not happy.
She's afraid of Damien, not happy. I think he tells Robert that he should just like respect her wishes to go ahead with the abortion. Like,
he does that, and then Robert goes, but no, we can't do this, and the psychiatrist is like, why? And he goes, because this was foretold. He says. Or maybe that's later on, the foretold bit, but like, what a weird conversation between those two. That the psychiatrists, he just lays it all out there.
He just lays it all out there, and then that's him for the movie. Just he's a little narrative plot point, and
she has told the psychiatrist that she's starting to believe that Damien isn't hers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the important part, and then we get to her fixing what you said. It was like a plant or something back.
They're like they hang from the ceiling, aren't they? They're on little like straps or something like that. They're like kind of, I don't know. It just seems to me, it seems dangerous and it seems unnecessary. Leave the pots on the floor where they're safe and you can water them easily or change them if needed. But this one's hanging from the ceiling.
Now, something happened here that this scene plays out differently to what I kind of imagined was going to go on. So you've got this, the kid, and he's on his little bike, like in The Shining, right? Yeah. And he's going round in circles on the one spot, just being annoying. Yeah. And I thought this was taking place directly above where she was hanging the stuff, and I thought it was going to make the thing fall down on her. Yeah. But that's not what happens. They're on the same level in the house. Yeah. My dog's having a woof. Oh, he's having a woof. You guys can hear him.
Shout out Enzo.
Shout out to Enzo.
He's giving his input to the scene. It's a great scene, and it's you know when she's in a precarious position with the plants, she's like she can't get out, or she's frustrated, so she stands up on a little mini table, or she stands up on something like that's like to reach up to it.
Now that I know we're in a Final Destination movie, I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And apparently, because of all of the suspicious things that had been happening around the making of this movie, in terms of like people's, not suspicious as in like bad actors, but like people started to believe that this production is maybe a little bit cursed. She wouldn't film the scene the way the director wanted it to be filmed. Yeah. So like what happens is Damien comes down the corridor and rams into the little stool or whatever that she's on, and she's supposed to fall over the edge of the banister and hit the ground, right? Yeah. But in the way the scene plays, which I think is pretty cool, is that whatever she was holding drops, and we follow that down in like slow motion.
Oh, it was a fishbowl or something she had. It wasn't.
The pot or whatever that follows down and that smashes, and it's quite impactful. And then the camera then shows us that she's hanging onto the banister. Yeah, and that's because she didn't want to film.
Just to straight fall over.
To fall over, because she was worried that, she actually probably would fall again. She was traumatized from the baboon. I don't know what order they filmed it in, but so I think that was a really great workaround for that. Yeah. Donna actually working with the actors when they don't want to do something is very, very nice compared to Kubrick last week.
Yeah. It's a nice change of pace. It's a great scene. The build up of him he's circling on the little tricycle, and then once again, nanny of the year from hell, Mrs. Baylock is just like she's watching him intently, and then almost like she's like not controlling him, but she's like commanding him. She just opens the bedroom door and there he goes. He's off. He's off to the races.
It's almost like he's doing a little ritual, isn't he, when he's going around in circles? Yeah.
But Beckham, what did you have there?
Every year, literally, after reading note for note, everything I have written on this. Like I was like, they're not going to say that. Oh, no, they got that. Oh, basically the same thing. You guys have covered the whole lot of it. And again, the nanny is just, she's really opening herself up as helpfully evil here as well.
She looks really creepy.
She does, like she's got like that. She's got that like perfect 1,000-yard stare, and she like just her facial structure just looks evil. Like the way her bone structure is like around her nose, and like
she's a very pretty woman in real life, but they do make it look real insidious in this movie.
And that's why, like, that's what I just loved about this movie, like the fact that, compared to last week, we're not going to have a whole lot of like probably different perspectives or like different interpretations of this movie. It's it was just a very easy, on the nose at times movie to consume. You know, it was like everything it was trying to tell us, we were able to pick up easily. There's nothing that
they got rid of the ambiguity, as I said. The
ambiguity,
it's not there as much anyway. So instead of. So she's now hanging onto the banister. And Damien's just watching her, and he just doesn't seem to care.
He doesn't seem to care.
There's no reaction there.
No, she's hanging on to the pillars,
and he's then she falls.
She falls.
Yeah, and
it's almost like it's like she's probably between two minds. She's like, right, either he's going to probably make me fall, or I literally have to let go, because he's not helping. He's not going to help, and he's just watching her like intently, just through the gaps in the banister. And
unless you're gymming it up, it is hard to like pull yourself up from like if you're hanging on something. Like it happens all the time in movies, but I don't think I can do it.
No, not even half. I have clammy hands. The minute I have to grab on something, it's dead time for me
now.
It's dead for me. I'm done.
She drops. We know at the time, like, she revealed to Robert in the previous scene that she's pregnant. So like she drops and she lands. She survives this fall.
Yeah,
and then I mean, it's just like he's not, like, she knows that like what caused her to fall was him just cycling down, and like any normal kid, you could say
an accident. Could have been an accident,
because sometimes kids just don't react in time, or they don't really realize the gravity of the situation. Like he probably just thought, I'm just cycling. Again, it would be nice to have more of this, that it's just like happy little accidents with the kid. He's not actually the son of Satan. So
Thank you. It sounds nice to hear it back, actually.
Yeah. So another good scene, and it's effective. Part of me just wishes the reveal towards the end what played into the ambiguity rather than this is actually it. This is all.
Yeah.
It's all planned. But she's in the hospital. Robert finds out about it, and it's a really her deliverance of the line. I just like it. I'd probably give it maybe too much appreciation, but I thought it was just great. Like she's conscious, but she's obviously quite sedated. But Robert asks her, like he tells her that he's here for her and stuff like that, back to the support of husband. And she utters like, "Don't let him kill me." And it's just like, it's just eerily. Is
it the doctor told him that like she's lost the baby as well? She's no longer pregnant.
She's no longer pregnant. Yeah, the internal bleeding. Yeah,
it's all what Father Brennan was saying is all happening.
Yeah, it's all coming through, and it's just such a good simple delivery. But I could imagine being in Robert's situation, that would be the most chilling thing your wife would say in relation to your 5-year-old son.
Yeah, don't let him kill me.
Especially after the conversation he had prior with Father Brennan.
It's real good. It's some good stuff. I don't really have anything else to add to that.
I think that's the first scene Catherine and Robert are both on the same wavelength when it comes to Damien now.
Yeah.
I think after the doctor kind of says it to Robert that you've lost the baby, and then she utters the line, "Don't let him kill me." I think the two of them are finally admitting to each other that they both are frightened of Damien. Like that's her first time, I think, fully saying it. Like we mentioned earlier, when the baboons attacked and everything, she's anxious about it, but she kind of brushing off like, "Oh, it's okay. There's something weird going on, but it's okay." This is the first time where the two of them
are on the
same level.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's because they're always one of them either not fully kind of like disclosing how they're feeling, or one of them was dismissing as I was like, just
Robert does kind of, he still will go back and forth as the movie continues, but now she's kind of cemented in this.
She's cemented in it now with him
in her thought there. But they're on the same level at this part. He then goes to where does he find the photographer? He goes to the photographer, right?
Oh yeah, somehow the photographer, I think, calls him, and I don't know if he calls his office. I think he must call his office, right? Because I don't know if he'd have his personal. Well, it was the 70s, yeah. So maybe he calls his. Keith Jennings called him, and he tells him that it's who he is and their history together. and there's something that he would like him to come and see.
Yeah.
Like he's something he'd like to show him. And this is where it really, like, if the movie at this point was in like second or third gear, this is where it really starts to like ramp up now.
This next scene is like probably the biggest turning point for viewers, but I have a bit I want to mention once you've gotten into it, Steve, that fucking annoys me so much about this. But I'll let you take over. Right. There's a bit after we've seen in the red room or the dark room. I have to stop calling it red room. That's a sex thing.
No, wait, red room, sex thing. Wait,
I'm not getting into that. We're not getting into that.
Okay. No, you've got me started now because I'm thinking. When I think of
you
red
got
room,
started the minute we start recording.
when I was thinking of red room, throughout you two mentioning it, I was just thinking of like what Danny's little chant last week, but I don't know. It was actually
red room.
But I don't know. That was a sex.
I don't know what you're talking about, Bex. I mean, Bex, actually, you know, we've been joking about Stevel's mindset on this. If we went back, Bex. Okay. So are we back in the dark room now?
We're back in the dark room. In my defense, at least I didn't have the mad thing about all Alexis being strippers. In my defense. Hey, all right.
I made a mistake. It was early. Here, I'm awake now.
Yeah. I'm awake now too. I swear. But is the reveal first in the red room, and then we go to Father Brennan's apartment or his flat?
Is that how it goes? Bex,
I have it here. Will I take this a little bit because I will get into a rant. Right. Okay. So they go into the dark room where they're looking at the pictures, and he's showing them all the pictures first, and he shows them where there's a mark going across the picture of Father Brennan, exactly where he had been impaled earlier in the church scene.
Is this the same thing that happens in Final Destination, where there's the mark over
something
the pictures?
Like it.
It's very similar. Right?
Do you know the one? Do you know I can't remember the numbers now, and I only watched it, but the one at the amusement park.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, Mary Elizabeth
They take
Winstead,
a bunch of pictures.
My heart.
Yes, same. Scott Pilgrim. There's a bunch of pictures in that movie where there's like a mark or how they die is alluded by the amusement that was right behind them.
Yeah,
kind of the same thing as this. It's kind of the same level.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this they then mentioned that Father Brennan had been sick already, so he knew he was dying.
He knew he was dying. Yeah, he was terminally ill.
Yeah.
And then they mentioned that Father Brennan had the mark of 666 on him.
On his thigh.
His birthmark,
on his thigh.
Yep.
Which the first Omen does a lot with that.
Okay.
They go into a lot. They explain a whole reasoning behind everybody having the 666. The first Omen gets really culty, which I think ruins a lot of this as well. It's like a religious, more cult than religious belief of the Antichrist, which is really awkward and ruins a lot of what happens in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Halloween 6 vibes.
Yeah, basically the same as that.
Yeah.
But then after this, they have our whole reveal that the pictures they're taking have marks on it, and it's alluding to all of them dying, right?
Yeah.
After this, Keith and Robert go to Rome to go back to the hospital, right? To look into Damien's birth. They figure out that the hospital had been burned down, right?
Right.
Before I go any further, who the fuck is taking care of Damien right now? Did he get up and leave his child with a nanny to go travel to Rome?
Oh yeah, Mrs. Baylock. Yeah, she's. Oh yeah, because now
they just go to Rome and like Damien's just left her. Did I say Danny a minute ago? I probably did.
Right. So she's in hospital, right? His wife is in hospital, right? In England still. He travels to Rome, right? Because there is actually a great scene. Thank you for reminding me. There is a great scene. Again, Seb will agree here. You both will agree that it's Mrs. Baylock, like just kind of overstepping again because he returns to the home at some point, right? And Mrs. Baylock basically just says outright that all the other staff have just been. She just fired them all.
They've just left. Yeah.
They left, and like they're going to expect their payment or something to be mailed, or there's something to do with their payment. But they're no longer employed in the house. So like, I just like, were they freaked out by Damien as well, or did Mrs. Baylock just because she's down in the kitchen then and she's like, she looks like she's ready, like she's cooking or something like that. Or she's ready to bake. So like she's just like taking over the whole house now. Her influence is
to your point, Bex, about like, okay, he's just left.
Yeah.
He's also what the fuck? What the fuck was that?
What was that?
What's that plane? Helicopter?
I have no fucking idea what that was. That was weird.
But the Omen is getting to Seb.
Every week something fucking weird happens. Last time we were talking about The Shining, and then the fucking thunderstorm started.
Yeah.
I wonder if that got picked up on the recording. Anyway, what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, so at the beginning, he's it's his child's birthday, and there's journalists there, like photographers and stuff, and then people are taking pictures of him like after the suicide, and people are following him around. We find out later he has like security at his house, right? These like gated manor. He does like, which is believable for the character, but he drops everything, right, to go on this journey to Rome. But all of his like, they never mention the fact that he's supposed to be like a working politician, or like his job never comes into play into the story at all. There's never any more people taking pictures of him or anything like that. They lose all of that. Like, nobody's interested in him anymore. After all this crazy stuff that's happened, you would think there'd be more photographers going to take pictures, right? If they were willing to go there just for his kid's birthday, like
they were willing to follow him around when literally his nanny. He
never gets a call from his boss being like, "Hey, why aren't you at work?"
Like, I don't know what goes into his job title. Yeah, all we're told is he is an ambassador. He's an American citizen living in England as an ambassador for Great Britain.
Really, the only reason that ever pays off is the very last shot of this fucking film. Really?
Oh yeah.
Like that's the only point of him even being that title in this movie. There's nothing else, like you said. So
I think the American audience will be able to tell us more about like what the deal is there when we get to that. We'll ask those questions. But so we've got we find out the priest had been spying on Robert the whole time. He's got like the 666 mark on his thigh. He's been methed up. He was gonna die.
His flat is covered in like just scriptures, this and pages and pages, and there's there's how many crosses
it would protect him, right? All these crosses and things.
He's got like 47 or 46 crosses on his door. Like, is this like that's
I do love like these kind of scenes in movies. I love it in Portal, where you find like the rat man who'd been living in the walls, like there's just like it brings out the inner secondary school photography club part of me, where I'm just like, you just cover a room and make it look creepy. He has articles about the comet that he mentioned in the poem. He has articles about Damien's birth and where he was born and everything like that, because it's not told us how he was born, but there's articles there mentioning Damien's birth, so that again will be revealed later. But it's a great scene. The guy really lived a sheltered hermit, methed up, crazy life. Like, do you think he was on the meth to keep him going so he wouldn't die? So he could, like, a crank situation, so he could try and sort the stuff out.
Meth or adrenaline. I mean, like,
I think it's on the other side of it. I think he was on it trying to die.
Oh.
Because he's sick already, so I think he's taking whatever he can. He knows he's dying.
I think he's worried that if he dies, he's going to go to hell unless he stops.
Damien's kind of uprising. That's why he, like, for a man that's probably as ill as he is, when that storm scene pops up, like he wants to live. He's had that conversation with Robert. He's made Robert aware, but he still probably felt he had more to do in the time he had, But that's why he fights so hard against like running from that storm. But whatever he was hooked up on, like adrenaline, meth, just kept him going.
Then they go to that. I love when a movie just suddenly becomes jet setting.
Is this a bit?
No, is this the final? Is this the back to the dark room? And this is Who wants that? Which one do you want to go with that?
I was going to take us to Rome, so you continue.
Yeah, back me. Yeah, you can have it.
Oh, okay. So we are back in our dark room with Keith, who's got he's caught a reflection of himself in the mirror, and he caught a picture of it.
He took a selfie, didn't
he? Yeah.
Why would you, dude? Never take a selfie, man. And he sees the mark on him.
And the picture, mirror. He looks like he's shocked himself. When I was looking at it, I was like, he looks like he was surprised he took the picture. He's like looking at himself, and he's like, "Oh my god, wow!"
It's a funny looking picture, right?
And then the mark is it right across his neck?
Across his neck, right?
Yeah.
He explains it very well now. It's like he says he was taking pictures of the flat, and he happened to just catch his reflection in one of the prints. But it's just it makes sense.
Have you ever seen Final Destination?
I think this scene's really cool for keeping Keith in the movie, because if he didn't have the picture of himself here, I think just being written out.
Okay, so I just remembered the reason why Keith now becomes the travel buddy, right?
Yeah.
So Robert's like, right, I got to go and deal with this stuff if everybody's dying here thanks to my son. It's my responsibility.
My problem. Yeah.
And Keith's like, well, I'll come with you. And he goes, no, you've done enough. You don't need to. Yeah. I'll sort this out. And Keith's like, no, I'm kind of stuck too. And then he shows him the selfie.
Yeah, it's a great reveal. Like he's like, because like Robert makes it seem like he's the only one with stakes in this situation, but Keith is like, no, I've got a part to play in this too, and it's a great reveal. And you're like, oh, so even somebody as like who you would have thought is someone who is not really relevant to whatever Damien or Mrs. Baylock or whatever they're trying to do, right? This is just some random photographer, but I guess
it makes you understand the stakes the photographer has in this.
Exactly, and I guess that only started that picture he took in that flat that's when he started to get involved, and I guess that's when he was then targeted to be next, and by whatever evil entity is pulling the strings behind the scenes. Like, he was just a regular photographer to begin in, but then as he started to become more and more interested in Robert's plight, that's when maybe he made himself known to.
Shouldn't have taken that selfie.
He shouldn't have. He shouldn't
have taken that selfie. Yeah, because really, what connection did he have other than he took the first pictures at the party? You know, he's not really connected to them. So they go to Rome. Because he's like, all right, I got to go talk to the priests and the doctors where I got Damien from, right?
Yeah.
So, and the taxi driver takes him to the wrong hospital, and Robert's pissed. He's like, no, this is where. And the taxi driver's like, no, that one burnt down. This is the new one. So it's like, okay.
When do you remember when that hospital burnt down?
When did it burn down?
Because Robert is like, Robert's like, oh, he's just told me, he's translating obviously for Keith, and he's like, the taxi driver just told me that the hospital that used to be here burnt down exactly 5 years ago, and it's just like, it's just right after he takes Damien, he adopts Damien.
That makes okay, So then. They talk to a nun who works at the hospital, and she's saying like there's no records.
Yeah, she is still helpful.
there's no records. Nobody who worked there now, they're all either dead from the fire or they're not there.
Can't be found. Yeah, can't be found. Yeah,
and they find out that like sometimes these priests go to this certain monastery, and maybe they can. They can find a guy there or something like that.
The father Spoleto, I believe, was the Robert. Robert talks about him like he's like the priest who was there, and she's like, oh, he's still alive. Yeah, he survived the fire. We find out the fire actually started in the records room in the basement or whatever, and just like lit up. So conveniently, there's nothing left except this priest that survived, and he's in some monastery somewhere.
That nun jumps into the most dangerous elevator I've ever seen in my life. As well.
I was thinking the elevator is going to just fall.
If you even forgot a second of thinking, you put your arm out, that gone. You just have to step into it as it's going up. There's no stopping. It just is constantly going. Fucking ridiculous.
Elevators back then were wild. 70s was a wild time. Haircuts, bungee jumping. Everyone's always horny. Elevators that could kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where the movie gets a bit Indiana Jonesy. We're now jet setting. We're going from like location to location.
Yeah.
And I really like this stuff here. It's real fun. So they go to the monastery up in the mountains, and they find that the guy who did the swap with Damien, he is all fucked up from the fire. Like,
oh yeah, he survived it,
and he looks really gnarly.
He's like
good prosthetic work on this.
Great prosthetic, because we see him up at the altar, and we can only see from the angle that they're looking at him, like he looks like he's just lying down. He's probably just like praying and stuff like that. And then Robert and Keith like get closer, and like he is like that's Batman levels of like, that's Dark Knight levels of like Two-Face, like that.
It really, it's he's messed up, and he can't speak.
So you're thinking, oh, that's a dead end, But like there's a priest that kind of like looks after him and like kind of communicates on his behalf, or like tries to be informal.
And the guy who's looking after him tells him that he actually, even though he's a priest who stayed at the monastery, like he's given up on Jesus, right?
Yeah,
like,
he has.
He's not a member of the cloth or the. I don't know. I'm not Christian. I'm not really religious at all. But yeah, he's not part of the group anymore, because he's given up. He's a Satan man now, I suppose. And they give him like a stone, and he starts writing something down, a message down, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, he'd previously written 666. Yeah, that's the only message he'd ever conveyed. That's how the priest who's looking after him knows that he's given up on God. Basically.
I like a line that he says, the guy that's looking after him. He's like, for everything holy, there's something unholy. I like religion movies where they kind of drop something like that to give you the. There's always the bright and the dark to every side of
exactly.
the biblical tale. So I liked when he said it. It's like, it gets a little bit of a juice growing in him. He's like, oh, that's really cool. So there's going to be something to fight against Damien. And it's interesting.
It's good because while they're jet setting, they keep reciting, like Keith and Robert try and dissect the poem or the passage that Father Brennan told him about the Jews returning to Zion, and like the comet, and like the war and rise of like politics, and like man going against each other. All that sort of stuff. They spend a little bit of a time kind of like trying to dissect that,
it does make sense if you
exactly
it makes sense what's going to happen, like what the deal is. Well, especially the politics part is like, I wouldn't think that was in the Bible. Maybe, exactly. But that's very specific to him because of his job,
his job. He's a political ambassador, but they kind of fill in the blanks there and help us while they're jet setting. We have little scenes with them kind of traveling from place to place, discussing what it all could mean, and Keith figures out that it's describing the birth and the rise to power of the Antichrist. So
they the burnt up guy, he tells them the name of the cemetery.
Yes.
And that's where the child's mother will have been buried, right?
Yes. So he gives the name of, actually, I meant to put this in sooner. He gives the name of that cemetery, and Father Brennan also gives the name of the head to a place called, is it Megiddo?
Father Brennan is dead, Steve.
Oh yeah, no. Earlier on in the movie, he talks about Megiddo, and he talks about going to meet a man called Bugenhagen, which has the funniest name ever.
Bugenhagen.
Yeah, no, that's he says to head to Megiddo when they're at Bishop's Park. He says head to Megiddo and Megiddo. I spelt it here, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Megiddo.
So I think it's supposed to be like a take on Armageddon, right? Is that what they?
Yes, it is.
Say?
Yeah, yeah. And then seek out Bugenhagen. I chuckle every time I think of his name, but I forgot to drop that in there during the meeting at Bishop's Park because I was too focused on Father Brennan's bars. So But yeah, that'll come later. So if we just start talking about that randomly, I just wanted to explain for anyone that would be confused on how we randomly got to this place.
They go road tripping now.
They do. Right? Just two boys, just like boys.
Now it's a road trip movie. I love a good road trip movie. You know? Yep. I just watched Civil War again last night. I love that movie. One of the best road trip movies. This graveyard is so cool that when they get to it, it's a really cool set. Right. Yeah. I imagine it's a set. It doesn't look real. It looks like a set.
Like it's destroyed. Like it's been in. It's for a long, long time. It looks like just there's like random bits of debris everywhere, like unnatural kind of like pathing. It's just it's really well done. It really feels like it's just been a cemetery that's been left in mostly disrepair. And then this will be somewhere where we might have some nice different interpretations of the reveal.
Okay, so for me, I missed the part that we were talking about earlier. Okay, let's get into it. So they're trying to. Do they notice that there's dogs around the cemetery right now, or do they come?
No.
Okay,
so there's really cool sound design with the crickets as well.
Right.
There's like crickets chirping, and as they step towards, there's a framing to the graves. So they're walking up on stones and such before, and there's crickets chirping. And the minute they kind of pass a line that is on the actual grounds of where I would say the bodies are actually buried, all of the cricket sounds just go dead silent instantly. Same time, the minute they step up, it just drops. It's really, really cool.
The sound design in this movie is just hype. It's just dope.
It's just so good. Yeah.
So they're finding he's looking for the grave of his child and the grave of
the original mother
of Damien.
Yeah.
So they find which grave do they find first?
Maria. So the two, I think the two names again, Maria Sienna, I think it is, and then the kid's name badass got Bambino Sienna, and they're side by side of each other. But they find both of them, and it's the mother's grave that they open up first, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was very confused at this point.
Yeah.
So they open up the mother's grave, and there's a dog skeleton in there.
And
I'm like, is this? So did the priests take the mother and they've left the dog there in her stead?
Yeah.
But no, that's not what is implied from earlier in the movie, is what you said, right? So what was implied?
So that's a jackal. That's the skeleton of a jackal.
And was it Father Brennan?
Is implying that jackal gave birth to Damien.
He was earlier when he goes, that's the son's mother is a jack.
His mother was a jack. Yeah.
He was going to say jackal.
Yeah. And it's they have a little bit of war of words. Actually, I had this point ready for when we got to this reveal, because Father Brennan's actual words is its mother was a jack, not his. And Robert keeps retorting back and back. Every time Father Brennan says its mother, Robert in that moment is saying my wife. And it's the contrast between the two, because now we know that the ambiguity is now gone from this. Its mother, Damien's mother, was a jackal.
So and that's it. The devil... Oh, the Antichrist. The devil put his baby in a jackal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he'd be born onto the earth. And I don't know if there's any like...
reminds me of the South Park episode, actually.
The first Omen.
The first Omen
clears all this up.
Yeah. All of it
okay,
up.
So how is there background in Christianity for this? Do we know? Do any of you guys know before we get to the first Omen? Or should...
I'm not really sure with the jackal. I don't know.
Take it away, Max. Take it away.
Yeah, before he does the whole Antichrist thing is just, it's an unnatural birth. It's not birth. The Antichrist is generally seen, from what I understand from religion, it's not a natural human birth.
Okay.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's not like a woman that will be giving birth to the Antichrist. Generally, there's something just not natural about it, you know. So I guess that's what the jackal implies. But
the first Omen shits all over that unfortunately. So the first Omen's entire story is about a nun brought into the nunnery, and she's really anxious.
You cut out. Go on.
Oh, sorry. A nun is brought into the nunnery. No, that's just me. It's just me. So yeah, there's a nun called Margaret is brought into the nunnery. She's really anxious. There's a whole lot of weird stuff going on. As I mentioned, like the woman setting herself on fire and hanging herself to like replicate the scene that we've already got earlier.
Yeah.
But then throughout the first film, we figure out that the higher ups of Christianity have impregnated the nun with the child of Satan. It's not given into a jackal, right?
Oh, okay.
Then she gives birth to Damien, and he's snatched right up off of her, but they don't kill her. They try to kill her, and she escapes. So it kind of ruins this scene because it's more of like the jackal as a symbolism thing more than an actual physical.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
When
it's
I
weird.
first saw this, I would assumed that the priests had taken the bones off the mother and replaced it with the dog as some kind of sick satanic joke, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? And I was like, that's fucked up. But I do love the idea that if we are going in fully non-ambiguous, like, a jackal gave birth to Damien, you know, and then that explains the dogs around him all the time, you know.
Exactly.
With sequels and prequels and movies that are connected to other movies but written by other people or done by a different creative team, you've always got to like, I don't know, in your head you can decide what you want as canon or not.
Right.
You know, as a Star Wars fan, I'm thinking about this all the time because there's lots of stuff that doesn't make sense to George Lucas's, you know, like ideas as I see them.
Yeah.
But there's also lots of good stuff that's come since. So, you know, you take what you like and
exactly take your own understanding away from
hopefully
it. Yeah.
It won't ruin things for you. I remember like since Halloween Ends, I've that kind of like had a negative effect on how I appreciate Michael Myers.
Yeah.
You know, and I wish that it didn't because the other movies are still there and they're still good, right? But
I'm not going to get started on Halloween Ends. So I'm not going to say anything.
Maybe in October we'll cover some Halloween movies.
Oh man.
I'm leaving it there because I can't talk about it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. So like the first Omen had the job of making a connecting story, and you know that's a tough job to do.
I do think the first Omen does a decent job. It does mess up a few things. If it didn't exist, you wouldn't really care. You know, that kind of way.
Right. I always want there to be a purpose. If you're going to make a prequel, if you're going to make a sequel, have a purpose in doing it, right?
Right.
And don't fuck up the original story. Right. That's what you should be going for. You need purpose for it and don't fuck it up.
I think the first Omen has it. It's just they lean too much on what this Omen's done already. Like there's a lot of scenes that is like, oh, we're doing a modern version of that. You know what I mean? Where they could have just probably done something a little bit more their own.
Yeah.
So like maybe you know, maybe they just didn't have confidence in the ambiguity of the story. Maybe they probably wanted the audience to just have a definitive answer on Damien. But yeah, like this reveal here in the graves, it's great because it can go either way. It could be literally a jackal gave birth to the Antichrist, the son of the devil, or like Seb said, it could have been just like symbolic. They could have removed the bones, or she could have died elsewhere, and yet they just buried this the bones of this dog in place. Like you could go either way with it, you know. And that's why I think probably the first Omen, then it's their way of saying, right, well, if you thought it was a little bit too crazy back in the 70s of like literally a jackal giving birth to something, well, we'll give a definitive, right, no, it was actually a proper childbirth, but it was done under like just such extremely brutal circumstances. So
they go with crazy visuals for the first Omen as well. You watch a hallucinated demon get born as well. There's a lot going on in it.
They do have dream sequences in the first Omen.
I'm not really sure if I'd say our mental state of our main nun starts to fall apart, and she's wandering through whatever building they're in. I can't remember what they call them, but she's wandering it, and she sees what's supposed to be just a woman giving birth, and when she looks in, it's a demon clawing his hands out through the birth canal and head coming and climbing out. It's weird.
Okay. But great reveal. And there's also Robert kind of breaks down then because he somehow now somehow huge respect to the guy. He's able to tell, or like he signifies that his original child, it looks like, I guess, through damage to the skull.
Oh, well, he finds the grave of his child. And he opens it up, and this is a really shocking scene. And they didn't have to show us this happening because the implication is very enough. It's impactful. It's real. Yeah.
That maybe he believes that his on what we were told, like when his child died after birth, it was probably natural, they couldn't save him, but now the implication is that his child was murdered, which is
they find the skeleton and it's got a big hole in its skull, right? So he was murdered so these evil priests could do this whole plot. They could swap him for Damien and get him raised by this guy.
And that makes sense at the beginning. Then when Father Spoleto is encouraging Robert to take this child and raise him as his own, he's actually, that's why I said in my notes, he's adamant that this was meant to be. And I guess that is why it makes it when the fellow priest says that he's just given up on religion, he's given up on Jesus. So like, this was just a disgusting plot by some of these evil priests to have this child out there in existence and destroy the world potentially, or something wild like that. But murdered Robert and Kathy's original son was murdered and then swapped. It's crazy.
So then the dogs come in.
Oh yeah,
that's the big boy.
The dogs. So there's like shitloads of dogs, and they start attacking them, and they're like, "Oh fuck, we need to get out of this this place." But for some reason, they can't leave the way they entered. Does it get blocked off or something?
Yeah, is it just?
I think there's two dogs just stood in that way. I think they come from whatever angle, so they don't want to go.
Okay, so they try and jump over the fence.
They're getting mauled.
And
these dog actors are insane.
Yeah.
Like they're tearing these people apart for real.
Proper committed dog actors.
And while is it Robert, while he's jumping over the fence, he gets his arm skewered, or is that a photographer?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
No, it's Robert on
it. It's Robert, and that is, I was like, oh, that's brutal. That's
gnarly.
Like right through the top of this fence.
Like he's caught there, and like I thought this was going to be where Jennings's premonition like came to be. I thought maybe the dog was literally just gonna pull him. The dogs were just gonna pull his body apart, but
we'd have never seen a Rottweiler again if that happened.
Oh yeah, just some person watching this movie in 1976 goes home to his like family, his kennel of 12 Rottweilers with it, and he's just like, I'm gonna have to take action here. But crazy scene, crazy brutal scene. Like
they both get away though, don't they? They both get away.
Yeah.
And then he calls his wife.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You need to get to Rome now."
Now. Like
and she's like, "Yeah, but I'm really ill, and I'm in the hospital, and I'm all my bones are broken. I don't think I can do it." He goes, "No, change your clothes, put the phone down, come to Rome." And as she's doing that, Sephiroth's theme starts playing again. And instead of Sephiroth comes the nanny. She walks into the room.
Nanny of the year, Mrs. Baylock makes a first appearance in a while.
So badass.
It's so badass.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and then they have a little wrestle tumble, and
Catherine,
Kathy again gets fucking flung down. You know, she's I would be scared of heights. She gets thrown out the window and she crashes into an ambulance, and there's
so much to like she's right? What Robert says he's going to like send somebody to pick her up, right? And she gets up and she's obviously her arm is still in a cast and she's struggling to kind of get like, so she's pulling the clothes up over herself or she's putting them on or whatnot and she gets stuck and we just hear somebody enter behind her. And she turns around and the Sephiroth music blares. There's more just staring standoffs and she's just launched and who was it? When you were watching last night, Beckham? I think it was Lena who said that she lands in the ambulance, which is actually the best place for her to land. And I was like, yeah. I was like, shout out Lena for that. That is a bang. Like that is, yeah. So she lands down and dies in the ambulance.
This scene. And if they'd have cut it 5 seconds shorter out of a door, I hate the doors opening up.
Oh,
her
sure.
awkwardly lying back. Yeah. I don't like that.
I
think the
cool
entire scene, other than that, it's so goofy because like she slams in, she's dead, right? You know she's going to be dead, but the doors have to swing open to show you. I don't know. I just don't like that bit.
There's an episode of Seinfeld where a character like commits suicide in a hospital and he lands on like George's car, and then George is like, "Can I sue the hospital? Because this happened here. Can I get money off them because now my car's destroyed?" That's what it had me thinking of.
It's great. It's effective. Yeah, it could have been done with just trimming the last few because you don't have to. Sometimes maybe the movie feels as tightly written as it can be at times and as effective as it can be with like a lot of its show don't tell. We did not need like the last frames of just okay. Well, Kathy is definitely dead. Like
I think, like Seb mentioned earlier, there's a couple of moments in this movie where the film just sits on something a little too long, and this is one.
Yeah. See, it's weird that because we were just the Father Brennan's death was really well done and it was really effective, and it was because they had him slump over and it just sat on him for.
He could have moved.
Yeah,
the way it's shot and the way that they hold him being like, oh, he definitely could have went, I'm gonna move.
Literally, man, just step in any direction, even like 1 or 2 meters, you're fine. You like, but it had to happen for the plot to progress. But yeah, good scene, great death, and it's like, okay, now she is physically. Like Baylock is on the warpath now. She is cleaning people out left, right, and center. Like who's to tell that the people who used to work for the Thorne family how do we not know that they're all actually just down in the basement? You know, like just stacked up high. Like
True, she said they've left. I didn't even question that. Yeah, she could have killed them.
And it's not like Robert's spending a lot of time at home, as our next scene is about to show us.
Yeah, he's called back immediately from the guy who he sent to pick up his wife to tell him that his wife is now dead. The poor guy has had, and he's still got that giant hole in his forearm where he was literally just impaled not 2 hours ago. And his son is the Antichrist. He's not having a good day.
And then it's Hollybops with the voice to Israel.
Yeah, we're heading to I have an underline here from this part now because I think from this part until the actual ending of the movie, it just doesn't stop.
No,
it's balls to the wall now. There's very little time for. There's a little bit of explanations here and there. There's a little bit of like when he meets Bugenhagen. Such a great name.
Is Bugenhagen the guy who gives him the knives?
Yeah,
exactly. So he'll meet him, and from this point in my notes, I said the movie just doesn't let up. It's just
like I was struggling at this point, you know. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of fast rolling shit here back to back.
I was like, okay, let's get to the end now. Let's get to the end.
Yeah.
And I kind of I got back into it during the photographer's fatality.
Exactly.
So fill me in. What is going on in Israel before the photographer?
Steve, before I let you do that, his mother's just dead. Why is Robert gone in another place without Damien? Where? This is the worst parenting ever. His mother has literally died. Robert goes to bed and then he goes, Israel.
Be the son of Satan, you know. So
take it with you anyway, just in case you're going to talk to somebody religious. So maybe if you bring Damien, they'll be able to help. Not just, hey, I'm going to Israel now. Your mother's dead. I'm going to leave Nanny, who's clearly a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Good luck. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. It's so weird.
So if Baylock has made that trip right to the hospital to kill Kathy, right, that confirms us now Damien is literally probably just at home probably living out his best Home Alone fantasy, just jumping on the bed, eating marshmallows.
He's chilling with his dogs.
Oh yeah, chilling with his dogs. Yeah, running around the house, just like screaming, ordering pizza and stuff like that.
Talking in tongues to the dog.
They do have security guards in the house, not in the house, but in the grounds, right?
Yeah.
Still,
I'm just imagining like little baby Omen doing the Macaulay Culkin scream again, like into the mirror.
But even if you have a house full of people, with the situation that's going on with your wife's just dead, are you really, even if you think the child is now possessed or satanic or whatever, would you really just leave him there by himself?
No.
Like, on the whim that you're wrong and all of this is all just not playing out exactly the way you think it is, would you not like take him just with you anyway?
Yeah.
We still know that he is not 100% on board with his son being Satan,
exactly,
like the devil's child.
So
right?
it's getting more and more apparent to him. Like, to back up your point there, like the guy, the security guards who work on the premises, right? Let's say you're a security guard, right? And your shift is like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., right? You're outside the gates. You see the nanny go past you, right? Leave the premises on her own. She disappears for like 30 minutes, comes back, and then suddenly the news breaks out that the woman of the manor is now being murdered.
Steve, as somebody who's worked security, none of my business. None of my business. As long as it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
You can do what you like, as long as I didn't see it. None of my
these security guards probably saw, like, they're like, why is there an ominous tiny rain cloud in over those bushes over there? Oh, there's a priest like hiding in them. Taking pictures of me.
Again, like I said earlier, Father Brendan and the clouds again. Good luck, Father Brendan.
Don't stand too close to him. You might get struck by the lightning. It's like,
would you like a cup of tea out there, Father Brendan?
But then that's a good point that you make about your security, right? Your job is to just keep the place secure, not to pay attention. It doesn't concern you. Yet, I'll have a counterpoint for the ending, the finale, because suddenly they do make themselves involved.
They're suddenly back in the script, you know.
Yeah.
So we're in Megiddo, which I think it's Jennings that correctly states that it's derived from Armageddon. It's derived in some sense from that.
I think they say that Armageddon gets its name from there, but it's not. Right. It's the other way around in real life.
Okay. And they head to Megiddo. And what is the significance of this location? Isn't it something to do? This is mentioned in the Bible. Is it something to do with did Jesus spend time here or something like that, or was it where Christianity was born? I can't remember the exact details, but it's very prominent.
Did they mention Jerusalem? I think that's mentioned at some point. So I think that's as far as my knowledge knows, it's a very important area where Jesus did his whatever his thing is. You know what I mean?
Jesus God.
I'm not up to the religious lingo. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Like is it a city in its own, or is it maybe is it a part of Jerusalem? Like they travel to Israel anyways, so they're jet setting again. They're just two boys just enjoying the freedom of seeing the world. They are trying to stop the uprising of the Antichrist, but two boys having a good time. Bugenhagen is on the screen for all of like a minute, and he's basically just, you have to use all of these knives in this order.
How do they meet Bugenhagen? How do they find him?
So Father Brendan mentions them. Yeah, Father Brendan mentions them in the conversation during at Bishop's Park.
He tells them he should go looking for him at some point.
Go looking for him, yeah.
Right. So that's how they find him.
Yeah, and he lives in a cave. It looks like he lives in a cave, right? Under in Megiddo. So like, and he looks like he's just telling Robert all these details about how to stop Damien's uprising, and he has to murder him with these knives on he says unhallowed ground, which is basically like holy ground, which is I think he mentions in the altar of the church. And he just gives him the knives, and Robert takes the knives.
What's the deal with the knives?
There's 7 knives in there to be done in a certain order through scripture,
and it's something to do with the material in the knives, the metal. I think it's something to do with the crucifixion.
Is that the nails that way?
The nails, yeah.
All right.
So Robert is like, right, I'm going to take these knives. I'm going to murder my child with them. But then, and that's I really want to actually know if you two have anything to add to this, because the scene is wild, right? Like, because this Bugenhagen, we thought he'd be a prominent, important figure, right? He kind of is, but like in terms of actual plot importance, he's on screen for like a minute, and at this point, I think there's only like 20 minutes left of the movie.
He's just there to give them a guffin.
Yeah.
There's 2 very important points that he does bring. He warns Robert to make sure before doing anything to look for the mark of the birthmark.
Oh, yes.
666s. And he also, it's kind of a throwaway line about Baylock by saying that there is apostates that will work
of hell,
with Damien and will do whatever it takes to protect Damien or the Antichrist or whoever. They'll give their life to protect Damien. I think the 2 of those little just mentions there of the birthmark and the apostate are important.
Yeah, she mentions, I have that. I butchered the spelling in my notes, but he does mention that Baylock is an apostate of hell. She's there to just make sure.
He's the prostate of hell.
The prostate, yeah. And oh yes, because I have a note here. He does. Robert says he doesn't have a mark. He doesn't have that mark, and Bugenhagen says if you can't see it on the body, it's underneath the hair. But then when Damien's born, when the first scene that Robert's introduced him, he hasn't got that much hair. Like his hair's not obviously fully grown yet. So like you think he would have noticed it then, but I guess proud father, excited to start a family with his.
You never kiss a baby on the head.
Yeah,
you
never do that.
I've been warned around everybody's babies: don't touch their heads. Don't do anything. I'm fearful of babies' heads. I'm frightened that one day I'll like touch a baby and I'll poke it and then think, and that's not even a joke.
Yeah, you do kiss babies on the head. It's wild. Like,
yeah, that's how they get the little dents. That's why like Ten Hag, the Manchester United player, has the funny dent in his head because as a baby, someone put their finger on the top of his skull and just made a little dent.
The first Omen does something really cool with the birthmark. There's one character in the first Omen that has it on the palate of their mouth, on the top palate. So it takes it really like to an impossible level of figuring out where their mark is. So, it's really, really cool.
But great, Bugenhagen, credit where it's due. Actually, he does give the plot some meaning. He talks about the birthmark. Go search for it. That will confirm his suspicions. And watch out for Baylock. And then, so Robert takes the knives.
But then so they're outside. They're in him and photographer boy. They're arguing because he's like, I can't take these knives and kill my son. Like, what if he's not the son of Satan? Even if he is, like, I raised this kid for 5 years. I can't do this shit. And the photographer's like, all right, well, I'll fucking do it then.
I'll do it. I'll do what has to be done.
So he grabs the knives and he gets in the car.
Yeah, because Robert tosses them, doesn't he?
Yeah, I literally wrote the most Final Destination death ever.
Oh, yeah.
Mine's in big capital letters. This is just Final Destination.
Yeah, right. So I'll let you two actually.
Seb, I'll let you have it.
Well, he's driving, and what does he crash? And a pane of glass falls off a truck.
Yeah,
and takes his fucking head off.
Yeah,
and like it's shot for. So apparently, like, I think the director just used all the cameras he had. He was like, we're getting to get a great take. We probably won't be able to do this too many times, so let's just go for it. So we get every angle. We get the head rolling. Apparently, the when they were editing it, because they had so much footage, they knew that the audience would cover their face, like cover their eyes to not see the head come off. But they kind of extended it, so by the time an audience member would like uncover their eyes,
they could still see the head
would still be rolling to shock people in the cinema. And I'm like, oh, that is so cool that they thought about that kind of stuff. That is great. And this also leads me into my next Omen curse fact.
Oh,
do you know about the connection here?
No.
So I got this from a CBS News article. right? Special effects artist John Richardson, who helped with the film's infamous decapitation scene, was in a car crash during post-production.
Oh my God.
While Richardson survived the Friday the 13th crash, so it happened on Friday the 13th, the head-on collision beheaded Richardson's passenger, assistant Liz Moore, in a manner that was eerily similar to the death scene that he helped shoot.
Oh my God.
Richardson reportedly saw a sign near the accident of the scene showing the distance to a Dutch town that read, Omen, 66.6 kilometers.
Oh my God.
Kilometers.
I'm just so paranoid today now. I'm just going around my house, like making sure all my electrical appliances is off and nothing's out of the way.
How fucking wild is that? It's almost a lot of this stuff is just like, how is this true? Right?
Yeah.
How did this happen? I think the director, I'll get into some other stuff. I didn't write this down, but I think the director, he was having a meal at a restaurant and then he's walking down the street and then the restaurant blows the fuck up.
Oh my God.
The IRA blew up the restaurant, I think. And then
that's dastardly Irish.
This is when I was talking to Krampus, and he was like, wait, that must have been a long time ago. I watched this movie in 2006. Yeah. And then I think it was like the writer or a producer was having a meal at a different restaurant that also got blown up for something else. So that happens, and I'll get into even more stuff later on. Let's continue. That's fucking wild. So yeah, this death scene is this is so shocking.
Yeah,
the heads literally roll. You know,
heads literally roll, and it hangs uncomfortably on, like it focuses on the body just being decapitated. But it's so effective.
I wrote Damien has only been involved in one incident so far. And it didn't even result in a death.
In a death, yeah.
So you can see that they did originally write it to be ambiguous, but
because my counterpoint here is every death we've seen so far, besides the nannies, Robert has been involved in, and I thought to myself, look at that now. This might. I'm probably reaching here with the point, but I'll wait and see before I say Beckham, like what was your takeaway? Like think you're watching this, it's a 70s movie, and the way they shot that death scene.
I remember the first time I watched it. Not this, the rewatch. I find it's obviously it's dated now. It's a little bit goofy or whatever. But the first time I remember watching this, I was in a big era of just watching all the older movies. There was a lot of like gruesome kills from slasher movies and whatever. This one always stood out because it's so, again, like we've after saying, it's Final Destination coded. The way that the handbrake goes down itself, the truck kind of like rolls down the hill, the way that the sheet of glass just slides out and just chops them. I think it's the best kill in the movie.
Yeah.
The suicide at the beginning is probably the most shocking one, but this one is probably the best kill in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's really, really good.
Yeah, like it's well done, and again for the 70s, I could just imagine it was so just it was great, like nothing like that had been seen before, like in that way. And we thought Jennings would, like we knew it was foretold, Jennings with the picture he took of himself, but to go that way was wild, and that's what led me into my point that I because I like with every movie we've watched so far, I like to have some sort of like little nugget that I think makes a lot of sense to me. But this one is probably my biggest reach yet, is that like Robert is involved in every death so far with the exception of the nanny, because Father Brennan was at that park further away from the church than he probably would have liked to meet Robert. So and then he died. He called his wife on the phone, made her get up out of her bed, get dressed, and panic before she was thrown out the window by Balak. And then the most direct one is him literally throwing the knives that Jennings himself went to pick up.
So there's this joke about Raiders of the Lost Ark that, like, if Indiana Jones hadn't been present, all of it would have just played out the same.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is maybe if Robert hadn't been present, none of this would have happened.
Yeah. Like maybe with the exception, I'd say Bailiff was probably on her way to kill Kathy at some point, but it just so happened that she might have caught her off guard when she was like when her back was turned and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it could be a reach, but after that scene, I just started to connect that like those three deaths Robert had some implication there.
Yeah, I mean, if you were a detective and you were like looking into it, you'd be like, "Well, this guy's been on all of these. Like, he's connected to all of this." You know,
like he threw the knives. Like the knives one is my strongest. Is my strongest point of the three, because he literally he throws them. I guess they happen to land in that location, but he still throws them, which is like if he keeps those knives there. Yes, Jennings might have died another way, might have been decapitated another way, but it was his action that caused that outcome.
In Final Destination, the police actually do pull up the kids who survived, and they're like, "Why you guys? Why are you guys connected to all of this?" So it is a thing, you know.
Yeah.
All right, what happens?
Does he
go back home now?
Yep, this is it. This is the last
action time.
This is the finale. Yeah,
we're at the finale, guys.
And I mean, it's fairly cut and dry by the way we like to deep dive into or the last two episodes. The way we like to kind of like dissect and discuss in detail. There's not a whole lot here, you know. This takes up half a page for me.
You continue with your half a page, and I'll add anything I've got.
He returns home. He's lost his wife. He's lost his ally in Jennings. He's decided by this point that he has to go through with it. But before he does, he remembers to check underneath Damien's hair, like check around his.
When he grabs the scissors, I thought, all right, he's going to kill Damien with the scissors, but no, it's to check the hair, isn't it?
Just to check the hair.
There's a small bit right before that where when he first comes into the house and there's like footsteps.
Oh, yeah.
It's the dog walking around, and there's a chanting sound that goes on, and every time I watch the film, it sounds like it's coming from the dog. It's not. It's obviously background music that's like a chant, but the way that they present it, the way that the dog is like slowly walking, it really sounds like there's this weird like human just chant coming out of the dog. I love that.
I picked up on that as well. It's so loud.
Yeah,
like the scene is so loud as well. It's almost overwhelming. You know, the pressure's really on now.
Yep.
Thankfully, Robert doesn't kill the dog either.
No,
thankfully.
No, yes. A little spoiler there for anybody who was wondering. But yeah, we spoiled the whole movie so far.
That's our spoiler, guys.
What I would say is this is a positive spoiler for anyone who is concerned about Robert's action towards the dogs. This is a positive spoiler, a happy outcome that he doesn't actually kill the dog. He just locks it away somewhere.
We don't see any dog death. We just see a dog skeleton, a jackal skeleton at some point.
No animals were harmed in the.
This one just gets locked into a basement.
Is
it a basement?
Yeah, and
it's weird. I don't know what he locks him in. It's like the staircase. He just kind of like has a shutter to it.
A shutter that he just closes down and leaves the dog down under there. But yeah, no animals were harmed in the making of the Omen. A lot of people were, but no animals.
Do we know that for sure? Because they did go to the zoo, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I would say maybe the tranquilized baboon probably wasn't having a good time, but
happy.
Yeah, and his enraged kind of like flock outside. Yeah, definitely wasn't happy.
No monkeys. They probably shunned that one when they came back as well. Like pure freaked out about it. And then when he came back, they're like, fuck you. You were really nice. Yeah.
But, so he's checking the scalp, and then the nanny fucking jumps on his back, right?
Oh yeah, we
get jump scare.
We get we get the reveal. We get the reveal. Finally, all sense of ambiguity is put to rest. He snips a part of the hair away, and you can see just the traces of the birthmark on his head. 666. And then Mark of the Beast and Bailiff jump scare, and she is feral. She's ready to now throw down. She's
doing her best Damien impression. She's scratching at his face. She's biting his legs. You know.
Yep. She is fighting dirty. She's one of those nasty apostates from hell that you need to watch out for, because Apostate. Sorry,
prostate from
she's one of the mean apostates. She's vicious and she fights dirty, right? Yeah.
I was going to say this scene. A lot of movies now in horror, when you have don't go with music, or if they do, it's like really low music. If this scene didn't have music that's coming up to Baylock fighting with I think it'd be so weird and goofy with no music if they did a more like modern take. I think the music in this is such a carry. It's such a carry.
And again, going back to who is Jerry Goldsmith, like incredible. Like he adds so much flair, so much intensity to each of these scenes. Even the scenes that are a little bit more like that are less kind of like even some of the camera scenes with the music, like it just still adds so much because it's like a looming dread, isn't it, of like what's about to come next. But this track absolutely carries this fight scene because they're going at it like, and Robert, like he's probably like he's holding back a little bit because I'm pretty sure one like right hand from him and Baylock is down for the count, but he's doing his best to just kind of like fight her off on the defensive, and she's biting, she's scratching, she's jumping on his back. She wants like she's played her part now, and she's like, right, I'm gonna go down swinging here.
So he throws her down, he grabs Damien, he starts running, and then Nanny again jumps on him in the kitchen now.
Yeah, and she catches him at the staircase.
And this is where he has to fuck her up. He stabs her in the neck.
Even though it looks like it's in her shoulder.
Originally, the first hit is in the neck, and then it's in the shoulder in like the second shot of it. I think I noticed that as well. Yeah, it looks. Yeah. Looks like it's, and the dogs are howling the whole time.
The dog is going nuts. Yeah. Like trying to, like that dog. Actually, you see a few whatever angle is shot. Like it looks like the dog is like climbing the wall. It's so like desperate to get out. It's like it's got quite a leap on it, and it's like how they got that reaction out of the dog, and how they got the reaction of the dogs in the cemetery. That's what I meant to ask if any you knew like because you knew how they.
No, I didn't go into that.
I was baffled. The graveyard scene had me gone because they literally looked like they were just tearing people apart in that. I had no idea how they trained them or how they had them.
How they
that to got, it was safe.
Yeah. But great scene. But that Robert takes care of business.
So he throws Damien in the car and they're driving away. And this is where the security or the police or whatever pop back into existence in the story.
So weird.
It's police here, isn't it? Not the security. I think it's police.
So the security, the security. I think the security guard.
They go past the gates of the manor, right?
Yeah, they do. And I think the security guard might get it. Yeah, the security guard might notify the police because I think they say white ambassador's car leaving the premises. But they seen Robert come home, you'd assume, right? They were there, right? They seen Robert. So this is probably one of the only few goofs that I have with the movie. They seen him come home. As far as they're aware, the only people present in his manor is Baylock and his son. So when they see the car like speed out, they suddenly start to take action and get the police involved. And I'm just like, but if you're paying attention, as a security guard would do, you'd know that there's probably a reasonable explanation. But I suppose better safe than sorry.
Yeah, because they're in a hurry. But I guess so. Yeah, they do seem like they're like, what the fuck? Robert's got the kid. What the shit? But that's I don't know.
Like the police give chase. He's on his way to the church. He's committed to the cause now. He's ready to do what needs to be done because at this point now he's lost. He's lost nearly everything, hasn't he? Is like his wife. I mean, if this makes the news, he's probably in a lot of trouble as well.
Yeah, it's just like it's all fucked up.
Yeah,
and they get to the church, and he's unwrapping his knives, and you've got Damien going, "Please, Daddy, no!
Yeah,
please, God help me!" I think he says, "God." Oh no, Robert says, "God help me." Yeah, and he's going, "Please, Daddy, no!" And you're like, "Holy shit, he's about to kill this kid."
Yeah. Like he's ready. He has the knife raised. The police enter. They obviously have no idea what's going on, but they don't have any of the context. But in their view right now, they're looking at like a guy with a knife ready to stab a small child. and
they open
tell him
fire.
to stop. Yeah, they tell him to stop, like, or drop it, and he's like, no, that's point of no return. He raises his hand, and then you see the shot of the gun.
So, let's see. Originally, in one version of the script, Robert was going to kill Damien there, right?
Yeah.
I think he was still going to get shot by the police, but he was going to kill Damien. Gregory Peck, his son actually committed suicide 3 months before production on this movie started.
Okay.
So he did not want to film that scene, right?
Yeah.
After that scene, we see like the funeral, and I think they maybe even filmed it where there's two coffins, right?
Yeah.
There was going to be a third coffin, and that was going to be
Damien's coffin.
But I think the studio were like, well, we want to make sequels, so don't do that. But
we might be onto something like, let's keep the ending kind of open.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where are we done in the church now?
We've gotten to the funeral scene now.
Did you notice anything different, Beckham, or like was there anything?
I just really like the line of just as he's about to stab me, he says it like, "God, please forgive me." I like that. He's thrown it in there, like no matter what's after happening, he himself is still a religious man too.
Yeah.
Like even though like everything that's happened in this movie is probably
believe it. That would make you a believer, right?
Oh, 100%.
You would, because like they said, for everything holy, there's something unholy. So even if Robert was a skeptic of a man, like all this unholy stuff happening around him would have convinced him that, okay, well, if there's an evil, then there's a good, you know. So great, good final shot, and then we cut to a funeral, don't we?
And it's a military funeral.
Military funeral, right?
And I was really surprised because I was like, would the military give a funeral to a man who got shot trying to murder his son? Like, is that what would happen?
They'd cover it up. So he's still working as the ambassador. I think they'd cover it up. Like the president, somebody working for the president.
Maybe somebody, one of our American listeners or viewers can help us understand this. I do believe that, like, I know that people who have murdered who are in the military are still owed a military funeral. That's happened a few times. So maybe it's one of those jobs, but we don't. Yeah, it's pretty wild that, like,
maybe Robert himself could have served the military. I know it's never ever. Said,
that's what I'm suggesting, that maybe he did before he became political. Originally they wanted the father's killer. So so we. Sorry,
it's a funeral. On. It's the funeral there. It's an American funeral, and we're led to believe it's taking place in America. So the bodies are back home, like, because obviously Robert and Kathy being American citizens,
repatriated.
Exactly. Yeah. So the takeaway you could go with, it's like the president is there, so you'd imagine in some semblance that maybe there was a little bit of a cover up, but then who would have? Why would the English law enforcement, or like Britain as a whole, why would they want to cover up? Like, because like as far as they know, this was just some guy who had like probably lost his mind and he wanted to murder his child. So
true. You just kind of snuck that in there, but so at this funeral is the president. And his first lady, and in between the pair of them, little cheeky Damien.
Little cheeky Damien, he's now, we're led to believe. So it was a funeral. The funeral concludes. I'm guessing some sort of like bodyguard or something tells the president, we have a car, Mr. President or whatever, we have a car waiting for you. And then it pans down, and Damien is stood between them. Evidently now he's probably under their he's now been adopted by them, and he just turns and he gives the camera a little cheeky smile, a little shit.
My line here is the cunt is cunting.
So Richard Donner, it is Richard Donner, isn't it? He told the kids not to laugh So that's why the kid's smile is so creepy, because he's trying to hold in a laugh because it made him want to laugh.
Okay, at the funeral. Oh wow, so you had to tell the actor we're gonna shoot.
To get that creepy smile out of him, he told him not to laugh, knowing that the kid would laugh and try and suppress the laugh, and that's how he got this creepy reaction of him. Because the final shot is Damien like looking into the camera and like doing kind of like a giddy smile, like closed mouth laugh kind of thing. Yeah, and it's really freaky, and that's how he did it. It seemed like he was pretty good around child actor, which is cool.
Yeah. Again, he carried probably the greatest 80s kid movie ever with the Goonies. It's fucking great. It's so good. If you have neither of you seen the Goonies?
No,
I've never seen it.
You don't need to get on it. It's so good.
Talk about movies that you've seen that I haven't, Bex. It's come to pass that he is now in a position that's even bigger politically.
More powerful, yeah.
Yeah, he's maybe the adopted son of the President of the United States. Have you seen Damien, the Omen 2?
No. I have, but my memory is completely blank on it.
Oh, okay.
I don't I don't like it.
What goes on there, but yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll get around to those at some point.
Yeah.
Right. And then our final little note is basically, this is from the Book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 18. It's just for anyone who's not for anyone who sat through that movie in the cinema back in 1976 and was like still confused. It's basically, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So it was just, it's basically for anyone that was watching that movie back then, if they were still not like, what's the significance of
what's the 666 about?
Yeah, it just kind of spelled it out there at the end. But
that shows on the screen in black, and then the credits roll.
Yeah, and that's it. That's our credits, and that's the Omen.
Just let me throw in some Omen curse stuff before we finish here. Okay, while flying to London in September, Peck's plane was struck by lightning, right? Mm-hmm. A few weeks later, executive producer Mace Newfield was on a plane to Los Angeles, was also struck by lightning, right? Yep. After that, producer Harvey Bernhard narrowly escaped being struck by lightning himself while filming in Rome.
Oh my God.
Now, planes get struck by lightning, they say each plane in the sky gets struck by lightning once a year or something like that. But they all happened around a similar time period, around similar people, right? Mm-hmm. Then there was a plane chartered by the film that had a bunch of cast and crew, and it got switched last minute. I think they all got on board and then got taken off the plane to go get a cheaper one later on in the day, right?
Right.
And then the people who got on board that plane crashed. And I've seen, when I was reading articles, one article said that it killed everybody on board, and one person it said it killed 6 people on board. It was a chartered flight, so maybe there were only 6 people on board. But yeah, people died.
That's wow.
The real life story is Final Destination-esque.
Pretty much. That's, oh my God, that's so. You know what? For the next 48 hours, lads, I'm gonna wrap myself in bubble wrap in my bedroom, and I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna just be self-sufficient. I'm going to be self-sufficient. I'm gonna just order some food, and I'm just gonna take the least amount of steps anywhere that I have to the bathroom, maybe and back. Because I'm dreading. I'm looking at this window now, and I'm thinking any minute now something could come through that window and kill me.
Now that we've talked about it, have either of your opinions changed from what it was at the start to lean more off the fence in a certain direction about the film, or are you kind of still the same?
My discussing it again with you two has changed my opinion for a more positive one, because I'm surprised there wasn't as much. There wasn't a whole there's a few things we didn't like, but generally now the movie was just pacing wise it was good, but I would have my main thing now was it could have just been a little bit more trimmed a little bit and a little bit shorter. But I'm glad I watched it. Still no regrets, and the reflection on it now, with the notes and the discussion here has given me just like if this was, you know, if I had to say like out of 5, like it'd be like a 3 out of 5 movie for me, you know.
What about you, Seb?
It's not changing how I felt coming out of watching the movie, right? But I do have more of an appreciation for what they were going for.
Yeah.
And it is more of a positive thing. I watched this movie right after you said that we were going to be doing the Omen. So I've had like a week to try and rattle around with my thoughts in my head and decide how I really felt about this movie. But I do think it's mostly positive rather than negative.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it was... I don't know if they accomplished what they really set out to do, but again, this is a very successful movie. I think most people who watch it do enjoy it. So they've ticked the boxes they want. Whenever the writer, I've seen him in like interviews and stuff, he's kind of been a bit like, he doesn't believe in the script as much as like he thinks it could have been better as well. They think it could have been better.
And they for the sequels, they never. I don't understand now. If anyone can help me here, but I don't understand why they didn't have the young lad, the young actor, reprise his role for the sequels. I think
they went for a bigger time jump. As far as I remember, now that like Seb's after saying it earlier, I don't think they do a president thing. I think I could be missing. I think the sequel is he goes to live with an aunt and uncle.
Okay.
I think now that I could be completely wrong. If I am, comments if you know, let me know. But I think he lives with an aunt and uncle, and I think they time jump ready. Bring on.
Oh, there goes your mic.
Oh, sorry. It's more so he's older and ready to bring on end of the world. They give him a bit more time spent knowing who he is as this demonic person. I don't know. The sequels they're not great. The second one's, again, I don't remember much of it. So
yeah.
Well, for the information, the sequel came out 2 years later. But I can see now the sequel was done 2 years later, but it was a 7-year
time jump.
So obviously the actor wouldn't have been old enough to do that. And then the third movie came out 5 years later. So it probably would have been just too much too soon, and like he wouldn't have been able to age. Probably according to the script that was written, but okay. But that's the way I look at it now. I feel like probably the general consensus with the people who probably created this was like, we might not have got to do what we wanted to do with this movie. Hence the probably the speed on which sequels were released. And I can imagine the first Omen that was released last year was created in mind to make sense of a lot of the plot points that maybe didn't make sense at the time, or people are like have issue with. So
this movie did well enough to warrant 2 sequels and a prequel, you know. So a remake as well,
and
like,
a remake.
And it, as I said, like, the impact of just the name Damien, like it was a very impactful movie. They made a quite an impactful film. But as I also said, like, people I speak to, if you didn't know, guys, we all stream. Catch us on Twitch. We'll do plugs soon. People like our age and younger don't really talk about this movie. Not in the same way. You've got your slasher movies, or even like the Exorcist. Like
possession movies are a lot different now, though. They're a lot more. These are like slower paced, like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. They're very slow. Where
would you call this a possession movie? Like
I ring it in with the same. It's a satanic type of thing. Like it's very different than The Exorcist. But like now we have the Conjurings, where you're jump scared every 5 seconds. You've got a whole bunch of possession scenes. It's a very different type of genre now in horror to do.
It's true. It's almost shot like It's almost shot like it isn't a horror movie until you get to the kills. You know,
Yeah.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
And that's why we've seen I don't know if you have, Seb, yet, but I've seen the movie that was a possession movie recently, and it was an Argentinian movie, and it was called Where Evil Lurks. And just thinking, comparing a great movie, and I'm just thinking of the way they adapt like the whole concept of demonic possession on that movie compared to this. It's the same theme of possession, but of what happens when somebody gets possessed, but it's night and day the way it's executed. And that's
When Evil Lurks is just evil as a film in general. Yeah, it's very, very heavy.
It's fantastic, and I'd love to talk about it at some point in the future. But it shows the difference between how possession movies were kind of like adapted, written, shot back in the 70s for this, and how they're done in the modern day. It's crazy how the landscape of it has changed, but equally enjoyable. This was a slower burn for a movie about a child that was apparently the rising of the Antichrist. He's not in it. He's barely in it. He speaks maybe like a handful of times.
One of the original titles was the Antichrist. The film.
Mm-hmm. So I like the Omen. Though the Omen is like way more ominous with a nice bit of like foreshadowing. But glad I watched it. The point I was making is this will probably be my only experience with it. I won't pursue the sequels or the prequel because I think this as a standalone does enough for me. It does enough for what I wanted out of it.
I don't feel like I need to continue the franchise either, unless one of you two decide
recommend it
for your pick of the week to go watch it. Like I don't see myself going forward.
Again, I forget what 2 and 3 is like. The remake, you've seen this one, you're going to know what the remake
is shot for shot. Yeah.
I think give it maybe 6 months, and horror people are going to stop talking about the first Omen. They're very hyped about it at the moment. There's a lot of cool visuals.
I don't hear any hype about the first Omen. Yeah. You talking about it to me right now is the only.
I think I'm just in the pockets where people talk about horror, and like everybody's thinking like they're very right to be saying it's visually very, very good. But I think in 6 months' time, you ask somebody, "Hey, what did you think of the first Omen?" It was pretty good. It was fine.
It happened, like it was a solid kind of like addition, but it wasn't anything that will, change like the way, or like it won't move mountains sort of thing, or like won't be in 20 years time. The first Omen might not be spoken about the way this movie is somehow still 50. When was 76? How long
76?
Was that? Almost 50 years ago. Yeah, 48 years ago.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's like, I'm just glad. I'm glad as a someone who enjoys like movies from all eras, and especially ones with like kind of like interesting themes. I'm glad I give it a shot. I don't regret as a pick, and it definitely is the weakest of the 3 movies that we've had so far. But I'm glad now I got it out of the way, because that'll make my next week's pick, next time's pick, even more exciting.
Speaking of,
I'm gonna tell you guys what our pick is after we get our plugs in, right? Because I want people to be able to find us, guys.
Yes,
I stream over on Twitch, and I'm called The Spooky Memes over there. I don't even think we introduced ourselves today, so I'm Seb or Sebastian. And I stream Dead by Daylight, and on YouTube you can find me, The Spooky Memes. Lots of Resident Evil stuff and Dead by Daylight stuff over there. And on TikTok, I'm over there too. You can catch me absolutely anywhere. Bex, where can people find you?
Everywhere that Seb's mentioned. We've got Twitch, we've got Twitter, we've got YouTube, we've got TikTok. I do a lot of different games. A lot of it's mainly horror themed, but I also stream a lot of DBD. And pass it on to our talking cushion host here, Steve. Where can we find you?
Oh yeah, for the mastermind behind this week's choice. Yeah, I'm simple. Steve Knievel on Twitch. Dead by Daylight at the moment for anniversary, but I do like kind of story-driven variety games, and also Steve Knievel 666 actually on YouTube. I recently rebranded.
Cool.
I don't know why I did. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, actually, yeah, coincidence.
That's pretty metal, dude.
That's pretty metal. But yeah, YouTube and Twitch for me is my main haunt.
I also want to say thank you everybody who's listened, who's watched, who's checked us out. This is a new project that the three of us have never worked on anything together, like as a team here. And I want to thank the pair of you as well for agreeing to do this, and really like it's such a fun thing to do. I love it every week, and we've now went through our 3 choices, and we're going to continue, and we're going to rotate, you know, each week somebody's going to choose a pick. When we first started doing this, we didn't know how the podcast was going to go at all. We didn't know what order things were going to be in. We didn't know how we were going to do it, and we've really just fallen into a cool groove. And I feel like this week is I feel every episode gets better, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you guys for that. It's so cool.
I just want to jump in and on top of that as well. I've really enjoyed doing this the last couple of weeks. It's basically my favorite thing to look forward to in the week. I was getting told for like the last 2 years I want to shout out my mod Sassy as well, Sassy Vixen. For the last 2 years, do something movie related, make a YouTube channel, do something, talk to people about movies. And every single time I'd be like, no, I'll get to it when I get to it. And then Seb and Steve just dropped this on my lap, and literally it fit into this kind of like square where I was kind of feeling like I want to do something along this line, but I don't know if I could push myself. And then the way this just fell into my lap, it was perfect. And I've enjoyed these 3 episodes, and I hope we keep going.
Yeah.
Please like us on YouTube and review on Spotify, and
like us in general, please.
And tell your friends because that's how these things grow.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed it.
Shared around, like you'll see anytime you hop into any of our streams, we'll be promoting the Spotify, we'll be promoting the newest episodes. Just to take a second, check it out, you know, drop a like. Helps us just with the algorithm, gets us out there, and it means the world, because we do each week we're getting better and better. We're finding our form, and it becomes just easier, and it's enjoyable every single time I sit here and spend this time with you two. But each time we do, it just becomes more and more comfortable. Like, I mean, like some of the things I've said today in my notes, I would never have said that in the first week. You know, I would never talked about Gregory Peck and post-nut clarity. Those are topics I never would have said during the first recording. So, like, here we are. I'm already wild and like on episode 3, but it's been a pleasure. It's been monumental.
I kind of feel like last week's episode took me out of my bubble that I was in the first episode. Talked about a little bit. I think the way we're doing it, where we all pick up, get that talking cushion, I think it dragged me out. Your
cushion is freaking out right now. I'm sorry.
You're not talking microphone.
But yeah, I was just saying, it's like it got me out of the bubble, it got me talking, and now I feel like in the next couple of episodes we'll all be more like we'll be able to flow better together. You know,
absolutely.
What I mean?
You could almost say in the next few episodes we'll be shining. Oh!
I honestly, no joke, thought you were going to make some kind of horny joke, and I was just going to.
No, it's out of my system now. But right, that's our plugs. What's
drum roll?
Okay, so I had a few different thoughts, different movies that we could maybe cover. I had this idea in my head that would be really funny if every week I just pick a black and white movie, and I was like, oh, that would be funny. And then I was like, you know what though, I maybe want to go in a different direction. And then checking out the Omen, I'm like, oh, maybe I want to do Final Destination series or something like that, you know? But then I'm like, I'm going on a plane this week. I don't want to watch that. So I feel like what we need to do, guys, we've started with Night of the Living Dead, and I kind of want to take us back, right? I would love to do Dawn of the Dead from 1978. I want to. I love zombies. I hope that's okay. It's not necessarily. Yeah. It's kind of a sequel in a sense, but it's not like a direct sequel.
Okay.
Let's do Dawn of the Dead 1978 because I've got a lot to say about that movie, and I'm going to be away next week, so I really wanted to pick a movie that I know quite well already.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I love that movie. I can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts on Dawn of the Dead. So everybody, go home, do your homework, watch Dawn of the Dead. If you don't know where to find it, the whole thing's basically on YouTube in different cuts, so you can check it out there because George A. Romero has just had a terrible time with copyright over the years. So
poor guy.
So go do that, and next week will be an absolute banger. I'm hoping we'll be able to get the episode out at the same time next week. But maybe we record a couple days later if that's all right. We'll figure it out because
if it's delayed, it'll be posted on whatever, like Discords and Twitter and stuff.
Yeah,
we'll let you know. We will let you know if anything.
Should all be good. Thank you everybody for listening, for watching, for taking the time out of your days, or just to have us on in the background. It really does mean the world to us. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you all.
All right, we good? We said our peace. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Latest.
Bye.